Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod AEW Edition. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, my mom's favorite podcast host, and he has an ironclad contract, Dave Valinovich.
The small little one-line sentences like that make me buy into everything you fucking do. Mm-hmm. It took 3 seconds for me to be like, yep.
I mean, it was a callback to a WWE thing, too, so that probably helps.
Fine.
For you, at least.
Fine. But it was something, and it was not, we have our reasons, and we'll explain them away later, or like how AEW does like 6-month storytelling.
They'll explain it to me like
by Christmas.
2035.
Yeah, I was like, nope, this is the reason right now. It still doesn't make a ton of sense. But we
have to give pro wrestling some grace.
I am not.
And saying that, like,
I'm not putting it down.
Even though those contracts don't really exist on Earth.
No.
Saying we're the EVPs and we signed a deal that it forces your hand. We have to have control of the show. Right. If you're unable to, it's a story.
I loved it. No,
like,
I'm not. It's
cool.
I
love the way that they introduced that too. Like, I remember I was like, they're going to make changes.
Did I see you in my mind's eye when they did that?
It's going to be for the worst.
You could not have called it more clearly.
I know my AEW and my elites.
We both did pretty well with predictions on this show.
Yes, absolutely. I just suck my own dick here, Dave.
No, you could suck yours. I'll be. Give me a moment. I will suck mine.
I once saw a man in New Orleans standing up, sucking his own dick in a bar. In like 2003.
He was a Scotsman, right?
I was too like I am covered in dirt to really
you might have
get
been
an
a
idea.
Scotsman.
Oh, you could have been.
Could have been. AEW. So because of the NBA playoffs,
it was a funky week,
and they moved a lot of programming around. So they put a bunch of important shit.
And some of the stuff that we were kind of pissed off about last week. Now I understand a little bit more why they like shifted.
Yep.
It's basically the Swerve not leading the show off and just doing a match. I mean, the match was still not great, but like not leading the show off didn't make much sense. But as it turned out, like Collision ended up doing a better rating, I think, than Dynamite did because of the lead-in NBA thing, and they knew that was going to happen. Yeah. So like it was pretty smart to do Swerve's like celebration kind of thing to kick Collision off, which is what they did.
And that was the plan, even as of Dynamite, but still.
It just felt bad watching it on Dynamite, but I didn't, because not all of us are like, oh, the logistics of the NBA playoffs and this game was competitive and there's a lead in here. I just was like, your main show and the champ's not there. Yeah, this felt more like what he deserved kind of thing.
I almost could not give, for as much as like we've harped on what size the house is and basically like physical people in the building, I could not give less of a shit what the rating is on anything.
Yeah.
You said it you might not have said it on the WWE edition. By the way, if you have not listened to the WWE edition of this week's Blue Thunder Pod, it drops at the same time as this. If you did listen to it, I hope you had an awesome time.
Yeah, go check it out. Special Nia Jax edition.
A lot of Nia Jax zingers in there. But to your point, not a lot of Nielsen boxes in houses anymore.
No. Have you ever met anybody with a Nielsen box in their house?
No.
Me neither.
No.
Been in a lot of houses in my life.
Yeah. Searching for those Nielsen boxes. Do you have one? It's over there. It's over there.
I mean, they really are extrapolating a lot of like assumptions out from like the 15 Nielsen boxes that exist.
Yeah. And again, because it's not watched a lot, it doesn't impact my viewing of it. What does impact when it comes to crowds is the volume and the feel of the room, which is why I care about that. I don't care how many people are watching it on TV.
Preaching to the choir,
my man. Choir, right? So, because of everything we're just saying, Collision and Rampage was pretty stacked.
Yeah.
So we're going to cover that pretty quickly, and then we're going to get to Dynamite, which, again, episodic storytelling. They did a really, really nice weekend of programming.
Yeah, they did. As I mentioned, Collision actually kicked off with the thing that we kind of assumed Dynamite would. Swerve with his big intro, coming out to cut a promo in ring. Got kind of his like celebration thing. It was more of an acknowledgement than what we saw on Dynamite.
Yeah.
And the end game of this was better too, because he ended up with a much superior match than the one he had with Coyle Fletcher.
Yeah.
He put an open challenge out there for anybody who wants it, and a besuited Claudio, fully besuited Claudio came out to answer. Claudio's a handsome man, Dave.
No, Claudio was good here because he barely talked.
Yeah, I loved it. I was thinking of you when I saw this promo, or lack thereof, and I was like, oh, yes, that is exactly what you should do.
All he said was, you're on. And he says, it's going to be mine.
Snatch the mic away. It's going to be mine.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
And Swerve,
then go join the Callis family so Don Callis can talk for you.
Swerve should have followed suit because this promo, he's not great at promos yet.
Like, it's weird. Like, I'm hot and cold on him because Swerve talks like just different. His cadence is different than most people.
Yeah.
It's kind of, everything he does is kind of a little different. Yeah. Like, so sometimes it really works for me. And like it kind of did here,
yeah.
But he's cut other similar promos where I'm like, just not working for me today.
Yeah.
It's just because he's so unconventional. Sometimes it reads as like loose cannon, like kind of scary. Sometimes it reads as like he's just scatterbrained.
Yeah.
And day to day, it's different.
It feels very much like he's looking at bullet points in his mind's eye, and he's trying to get through all of them.
Yeah.
And
that's when it's the worst.
Just can't tie.
He's like bullet pointing. He's
and that
doing
was,
a spreadsheet.
That was clearly here because
I could see that. Yeah.
He verbally said the second part of my thing I want to say is, and Kenny Omega did it later too, because like. But Kenny Omega was way fucking better.
Kenny Omega cut incredible.
It was insane. So Swerve like felt the need to, again, it wasn't a blatant AEW rah-rah pep talk, but like he
started to veer into it. Because I had the thought where I was like, Moxley's your guy. I don't care who the champ is.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, Dave's going to give me shit for this. Because I said, don't do the champ, just keep it Moxley.
But I didn't hate what he did here because he was just kind of like, catching you up because this is what he should have done on Dynamite.
Yeah.
And if he did this on Dynamite, it would have made perfect sense. You're recapping the pay-per-view that just happened. So fine. I'm just going to give this one, it should have been there instead of here.
Yeah, like placement was weird.
Totally.
But it worked.
He said, what a week we had. New TBS champ. Adam Cole can walk. Adam Copeland got misted in the face. Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay tearing the house down. Then Jack Perry returned to AEW and struck Tony Khan. Our CEO, our founder, the man who put all his faith in me, zero reaction. On top of all that, the EVPs come down here and put him in a pile driver with whatever they're naming the move these days, which I thought was kind of funny. Now he's in a neck brace, and there's no telling when we're going to see Tony Khan.
Did you see Matt McAfee saying Meltzer driver on like the... I'm like, oh, you watch AEW. Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, Tony got hit with a Meltzer driver. I'm like, how do you know that's a Meltzer driver?
He knows. Swerve then says, I've done some horrible things in AEW a few times, but something about 4 elite athletes beating down a non-fighter sounds like a bitch move. Elicited a bitch move.
I like that too, because it is like a way for kind of a tweener anti-hero to like push himself as a babyface.
Totally.
Like that is fucked up, and yeah, I've done some fucked up stuff, but nothing like that. I don't like it.
No.
I'm not doing it.
This company did it first, and then WWE followed suit pretty quickly after, but they just all say what we're thinking.
Yeah.
Like
we've been saying that for 4 weeks now.
Yeah,
or something.
they address everything that we're like, yeah, it's kind of fucked up, and that means they're.
To the point that we've made the joke many times that they're listening to the podcast because we'll say something and invariably it will happen the next week on the show.
So next time you guys are in Chicago, we'll go to Portillo's. We'll pick you up from the airport. Either one. And
Midway would be, a little bit more convenient.
You take Midway, I'll take O'Hare.
Okay.
We'll call it even. Swerve said the most important thing was Swerve went into Dynasty and defeated Samoa Joe to become your new AEW World Champion. He says, a pet peeve of mine is people walking around calling themselves the best in the world. Make no mistake, the real best in the world is whoever's holding the championship right here.
You can't.
That
is a very common phrase. I know that Punk says it all the time, but so does Chris Jericho.
Right. Sure.
And a million other wrestlers.
Because of the heavy-handedness they have with all the CM Punk shit, it just maybe got a little bit more.
Yeah. Like, I don't even think he was going for that.
No, but he certainly wasn't, but it was more like a trauma
I think he
response.
Gets along with Punk, by the way. I think that's one of the people that they dug each other. Like,
bring his ass over to the Fed when he runs his course.
Thank you.
He says, I got here, but that came with some sacrifices. The night I won the championship, I went to my daughter and she said, I love you. I'm so proud of you, but I feel like I just don't know you. The relationship with my children is everything. All the missed birthdays, basketball games, dance recitals, holidays, father-daughter dances. I can't make up for lost time, but I can blaze the trail as AEW champion and make sure that it was all worth it.
I do like the flawed hero thing there. I like that. Like
that is the most empathetic.
I love my daughter, but she doesn't even know me, kind of thing. Like
that just tells so many stories.
It's a nice little baby face turn.
How many people work hard for their families?
Yeah,
that you've seen this in movies so many times.
I don't even know. Yeah,
There's a plot point in Little Giants.
It's Cats in the Cradle, dude.
Yeah. And then it just shows I gave up that for this.
Yeah.
It just solidifies his.
And now since I chose this, I need to be that legacy because otherwise it was all for nothing.
Absolutely. He says AEW has set people in front of me and I knocked them all down. Kyle Fletcher was one and I'm in a giving mood. I say we have an open challenge and put this championship on the line, but only for someone who really wants to fight. This is the Dynasty era, and the lead of that dynasty is whose house?
I like that he's very clearly chosen what kind of champ he's going to be. He's doing the Orange Cassidy. I'm the fighting champion.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it up all the time. I'm going to have a bunch of eliminator matches. I don't give a shit who. Yeah. I'm making my legacy, and I'm doing it by wrestling every goddamn week.
And I like that he explicitly stated that because one of my big gripes was why is this world champion fighting constantly?
Yeah.
And he addresses it.
If you say it first, if you give me some kind of thinking, some kind of reason, that's cool.
Yeah.
If you just, I keep seeing match graphics drop and why is he fighting again? He just
Makes
was
no sense.
Is the owner out for him? Because I don't see any storyline there. Why would you be making this guy? But when it's Swerve trying to prove a point, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
I was a little worried when it was Claudio, and I was like, okay, you just made him wrestle a guy that Ospreay just wrestled, and it was a 5-star Ospreay match, and then it was a 3.5, 3 3/4.
I tell you what, I was thinking about that. I think it's going to work in the opposite direction. I think Ospreay is going to be the one that gets in a little bit of trouble there, where he's going to dilute the rest of the goddamn roster.
Yeah, it's possible.
And
but he's so smart that he
I hope I'm wrong because
he's worked a lot of different styles too.
Yeah.
He's not just doing. I mean, you remember the Busaiku knee off of Oscutter, but most of his Shibata match was a catch as catch can.
Well, maybe don't work the same guy within a week or two.
That's what I'm saying. I don't. That's the one thing I didn't want to see. This time it actually worked out because Swerve had an awesome match with Claudio in this show. Probably not quite as good as the Ospreay one, but it was close to equal, so it didn't hurt. Right. I just, when they first announced it, I was like, no, you just did Fletcher. You're going to make Swerve look bad again. Yeah. And he's awesome. The only way you make Swerve look bad is when we compare him to the best wrestler on earth.
Right.
But Swerve stepped up here. It was a hell of a match. I also think he's going away from the Swerve Stomp as his finish. I think it's going to be house calls.
Good.
Because again, Claudio was doing some butt shimmy stuff. I think he's going to start using, and he did here in this match, the cooler looking Swerve Stomp where he jumps all the way up onto a standing opponent's shoulders, and he did that. And I like that as the setup to the house call. I think, again, listen to the podcast, I think he's going away from the seated one. Which, the impact of that looks great. It looks better than any stomp I've ever seen because of the guy snapping back to the ground. But the setup is just, unless you're an absolute wrestling genius, basically unless you're Kenny Omega or Hangman Page.
Yeah.
You have to look like you're scooting your butt over to the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. I like, not to put the cart before the horse here, but that stomp is better. It's more authentic. It's more organic.
And it also highlights what Swerve's what his athleticism is. He does some athletic stuff better than Will Ospreay. His vertical is insane.
Yeah,
we saw it in the main event of Dynasty, and every time he does that, the jumping up to somebody's shoulders. I don't think Ospreay can do that. So differentiate yourself by showing that stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he's the shit. So.
Yeah, he is. This was much better than his Dynamite intro as champ.
And the Dynamite we're going to talk about today is even better than this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, he's doing a good job. He's course correcting.
The other thing I like better about the Claudio thing in this segment specifically is Claudio coming out doing his silent evil monster guy thing. At least it was a thing. And like I got a little bit of animosity between those two. So then I felt something when the match happened. Yeah. When it was Kyle Fletcher, it was just like, okay, here's another dude that's, spamming Will Ospreay's moveset. Like he's great, but I had no emotional connection whatsoever to that match because it was like Swerve didn't do a promo. He just came out, it was just wrestling, and then Kyle Fletcher just came out and was wrestling.
Yeah.
They did like some Don Callis stuff, but that was well into the match. I didn't feel anything for that match. This match, I was like, wasn't in doubt who the winner was going to be, but because they did that little bit of like face-to-face, like stare you down stuff, and Claudio trying to like assert his dominance, it adds a ton for little stuff like that.
It's amazing how fucking character work adds to it.
Doesn't have to be like rocket science.
No, it does just make me pay attention.
This Black Taurus Ray Phoenix next, right? Or Beast Mordos? Or was it? I may have written this all out of order because of Collision.
That's a couple things down from now. So they recapped the Tony Khan attack.
Oh, yeah,
first off.
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone when they come back.
The edit made Tony Khan selling look not quite as bad.
Good.
It couldn't get worse, right?
No, it was fucking horrific. Right when the package ends, Tony Schiavone goes, "The Elite have arrived my ass."
I love how his true feeling disdain for those guys.
Yeah,
like everything they say, he's like,
it's good.
Bullshit.
He's just doing old NWO stuff. Yeah. He's dusting off the classics. So Tony Schiavone says Tony Khan can't travel, but he can run AEW from here in Jacksonville starting on Wednesday. And then Nigel McGuinness says, "Well, he won't go on the road." And he kind of, I forget what he said exactly, but he implied that the EVPs are going to run
they're going to be running. And Schiavone's like, "You're insane. No, that's no way that can be like that."
Yeah. And then, so they like right away, this was a little muddy where they're like, well, he can run it, but then they're like, oh no, he can't run it. And like, pick a lane.
I liked that it was muddy here because then it was muddy
on Dynamite too. Because Tony Khan said, "Hi, I'm reporting from Jacksonville. I'll be running the show from here." And the Bucks are like, "No, you're not." They just cut the feed.
Yeah, I think that they like asserted themselves, and that's what our answer was.
Yeah,
like I think the wishy-washy bullshit was the lead into them going like, "No, dork, we're taking over."
Yeah, that's fair. All right, yeah, I don't know why I didn't see that. That makes perfect sense. The next thing was the trios titles. It was a trios titles match: the Bullet Club Gold versus Action Andretti and Top Flight.
I like them as a trio. I want Switchblade to be like going for big titles on his own and everything.
Absolutely,
they really work well together, and they have a good vibe and stuff. And I enjoyed watching them.
Yeah, because Jay White's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I don't like how much Top Flight got in this match. I think
they pretty consistently get like they're considered. I think a higher end like trio or tag team.
I don't like when someone becomes a champ and they have to, like we saw it with Swerve last week. Like he gave a lot in that match, and he just won the title. Like you got to establish these guys as actual goddamn threats now that they're champion.
My problem with Top Flight isn't that they get a lot of offense in because people like to see their offense or whatever. My problem with Top Flight is I don't know any goddamn thing about them except they're high flyers, and then they break their legs.
Two of them are related.
Where's the personality trait?
One of them chugs water real fast.
Doesn't got to be Shakespeare, but like make one guy a grumpy one, and the other guy the Joker, and then the other guy like snaps at the drop of a hat or
Bluto,
whatever, like something. Yeah. Give him some kind of character. Yeah. They have zero character.
None.
Dante Martin, I've been watching him for 5 years, and what I know about him is he's very athletic.
He got hot for a second too, like based on
because his moves are awesome.
Yeah,
they're different than any other high flyers. He's great at that, but like you got to do something.
An aerial assassin, if you will.
I don't even know why he's really babyface or heel because it's just a guy going out and doing athletic stuff.
Yeah,
give him something.
I'm almost positive I was as close to you as I was to him at Bourbon Street for an indie show not too long ago. I think it was Dayton Sky Blue at the time. I might be making all this up.
Lucky bastard.
But I'm like, that's fucking Dante Martin. If it's not Dante Martin, it looks just like him. He had a hood on, right? Because he has this little his hair is very distinguishable.
He's got the.
Could we consolidate these fucking belts into one belt? We have to carry on two sets.
I was a little perturbed when they were like the unifieds. I'm like, just call it one belt. Just call it one. Sneak it in there. We don't have to do a ceremony for it or anything. Just call it the trios titles. You can even call it the consolidated or the undisputed trios titles or whatever. Just one belt though.
Yeah,
I don't need the two.
Belt. No,
it is kind of funny when like these assholes are like flopping around their million belts. Don't really mean much, but
and it's a minor gripe because I don't give a fuck about the trios titles.
I don't
anyway,
either.
So.
But I'm okay with it on Collision, and if it's wrestlers that I enjoy watching, which at least half of these, yes. The other half I enjoy sometimes, but I'm getting a little tired of the absolutely no human, like, distinctive things about them.
Right.
Something. Anything.
Next we have the fun match, nothing special. Blade Runner gets the W.
Yeah.
They did a recap of the Bucks and FTR next from Dynasty, and then we had a package with the House of Black saying that they want to do the Cope Open on Dynamite, and they're not saying which guy it's going to be.
Yeah,
and
they chose the worst one.
Yeah, they're running the gauntlet now.
Yeah.
And by the time they get to the end of the gauntlet, I think Adam Copeland joins the fucking House of Black
because it's that way, right?
Yeah, which I am so down
for.
Because because now what I think might happen,
he can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned right now. No. So like, go ahead, man.
Because I've heard him do a couple interviews about what the Judgment Day was supposed to be. I think this will be that.
He's going to get his chance to actually do what he wanted to do
in a way better way with way better guys. Not way, but I mean, you have Balor, but like Priest and fucking JD and Dominic.
You have Balor, but Balor is like, for the last few years, he's kind of been on the Nakamura.
Yeah, like happy to be
skating by, making my money. I'll do some joke sketches and stuff.
In AEW, you got 3 goddamn murderers in your faction. Right? I think that's where it's going to go. But yeah, he's not saying they're not saying which guy's going to take the Cope Open on Dynamite.
I still can't get past once I had the thought that that Malachi sounded like Mordecai from Cabin in the Woods every time he talks. I'm like, Mordecai. But, the gas station.
Yeah, the gas station. Yeah.
I just get that vibe every time he talks, so I kind of laugh. So it makes it less intimidating.
Cabin in the Woods now.
I watched it like a week ago.
That's a movie I watch. That's another every 6-month movie. I fucking love that movie.
Love that movie.
When all those doors open.
It's amazing. Woo! The work that had to go into those that number of like super detailed monsters, I can't even imagine.
When they pan out and it's like this shows the extensive.
So cool.
We're back. Welcome back to the Blue Thunder Pod. Me and Sully.
We like movies too.
We like a lot of things. We really liked seeing Ray Phoenix back versus the Beast Mortos. They went.
It's Black Taurus, but
15 minutes 11.
Triple A wouldn't let him use his name, so he's got to be the Beast Mortos, which is a dumb name.
What the fuck does he see out of that helmet?
I have no idea. Well, you could see his eyes like very clearly the whole time.
Like his peripheral
but it's a giant helmet.
It's got no idea. His depth perception.
It's like a buffalo's hat he's putting on. But he certainly can see because he wrestled his ass off.
It's great.
He has the best bitch slap I've ever seen in wrestling. It's just an open-handed, like, racist cop bitch slap. Like, and it makes it sound like he's concussing Ray Phoenix. And he's not slapping his body or anything. He's just slapping him across the head.
Yeah.
It looked like it would knock you unconscious.
Absolutely. He also did one of the coolest things I've ever seen. He had Ray Phoenix in a tombstone position.
Yeah.
And he flipped him forward and turned into a lung blower, like a backwards lung blower.
And then Shivani was so happy he got to say lung blower because it's like an uncommon move.
Yeah.
A lung blower. That's a lung blower. It was great. It was great.
They beat
These guys were awesome chemistry, awesome matchup. Because Black Taurus is like high impact. It's that spear spot where like Ray ran on top of Mortis's head, and then like bounced off the top of the other ropes, and then came back and Taurus hit him with that like crazy spear that made me go, oh no, Ray's back on the shelf for another 6 months.
I started jotting down like spots, and then I just stopped, and my note was just go watch this match because it was like you forget. Ray Phoenix is like, oh, it's nice. We have nice things sometimes.
He's the best luchador, but like. We only get to have him a couple of weeks a year.
He's like the cicadas, man. Like he's here. Like, wow, look, he's everywhere.
Oh my God, you run on the ropes better than Commander. Yeah. Oh my God, you flip better than Vikingo. Like, Taurus too. He did one of those like the whirling candy thing. It was out of the ring. He's doing a tope, and it's a lucha move that I cannot figure out the physics of. They're flying like regular, and then they all of a sudden like do 3 spins like in the air and land on their and then he landed on his feet too.
Corkscrew thing.
Yeah. But he just like spin. How do you make that happen?
He was corkscrew.
It's like a top or something.
I don't know.
But then he hit him and he landed on his feet outside too.
If we had access to an above ground pool like when we were children,
we practice on that.
We'd be like, I'll figure it out fucking
That's
tomorrow.
not how they practice, by the way, though. Did you see the David Arquette documentary? When he went to train. First place he went to train for wrestling was like Mexico City. And the way they taught him was they do a thing called traffic lucha, where like here how you'd stop on a on-ramp or whatever, or like waiting for the light to turn to get onto the expressway, and people come out and like play the buckets or whatever. Well, it's like that, except they come out onto the concrete to the middle of the street and do like hurricane ranas to each other and shit on concrete. And that's how they were training him. Like, it was incredible. Like, no pools, no mats, just concrete. And then the other place they took him to train was like in a garage with just a cement floor.
That was the original FTR slogan. No pools, no concrete, just fists. Which we actually apply to them.
Traffic lucha.
I want to watch this documentary now. You have sold me.
It's really good.
I like David Arquette.
After I watched the movie too, I really liked him. And RJ City is prominently featured.
Oh, okay.
He's the guy that does David Arquette's like big feud when he finally does get into David Arquette does get into the like it's kind of a big indie, and RJ City's like the big villain.
The big bad.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's on Hulu.
Okay. Oh, well, maybe they'll cut half an hour of it out for me, like every other fucking wrestling show I watch on Hulu.
Cut the best match of the show.
Ray Phoenix wins with a basic ass lucha roll up.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Because they killed. I don't know if it's fine. I didn't like it that much. The match was so awesome.
They killed each other until this point.
Do at least a seatbelt or some kind of a combo. Yeah. I just don't like schoolboys, and that's kind of what this was.
Basically, yeah. I was fine with it just because like. You needed a cigarette after watching these guys wrestle. It was just like, all right, fine.
Absolutely fantastic.
Good job, guys. Backstage, we had Orange Cassidy. He said he's uneasy about how the Trent and Chuck fight will go because Rampage is immediately following.
He's correct about that because it didn't go great for either guy.
And then Chris Statlander walks in and says, come on, he needs us. Who's he?
That's the insinuation because she's turning heel. So they're leaving it up in the air. Like, we're to think Orange Cassidy. Oh, wait. But did she mean, like, Trent? Did she mean...
Wait a minute. Is it Don Callis?
Could be, because he's now at the end of Dynamite. He's like recruiting.
He's courting.
Statlander would very much fit into that family. Like, the freak athlete, big, powerful.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah. She's doing a great job, like saying a bunch of shit that could mean 3 or 4 different things. Like
she
every time she's on,
she plays aloof really well too.
Yeah, I think she's gonna be an awesome.
She
heel.
gets scolded by Stokely for being kind of like.
I think her moveset's more heel too, and I think it's all gonna go
fucking
good.
Brutal.
Yeah,
she's fucking brutal. I hope it's Don Callis, not that entered my brain. Next we had Martin Stone versus Arush.
Poor Martin Stone.
This was
journeyman British guy. Got murdered.
This was a prison assault.
I love Roosh so much.
Luckily, it was only 2 minutes and 19 seconds. But
he just like threw him out of the ring, immediately threw a chair back into the ring to make the ref go chase after it, and then just got a bunch of like cords from the TV production that just like whipped and choked him for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, it's a massacre.
He did that for a little while, and he brought him in the ring, hit like 2 more moves, stuck him in the corner, and did the "you mess with the bull," and then kicked his fucking head off.
Yeah, which is he sits him in the corner and does like a shotgun basement drop kick.
Yeah, it's the Shibata like delaying, but he does it just straight, like keeping his back parallel to the Shibata. I think turns to his side and does it. It's one of those Joshi moves that like I don't know how you do it without concussing somebody. He's just kicking him in the head as hard as he can.
Yeah. He also gives him another one after the match.
Yeah.
Which is like,
I love Roosh. I'm glad he's back.
This guy's brutal.
Yeah.
And I remember him being brutal now that he's back. They recap the Dynamite segment with Serena Deeb returning. And then some lady is talking with Serena. They don't put names on the screen all the time. So I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this lady is. But she said, what message is Serena sending? And I like this promo.
Who? Like, I don't remember. Is it really somebody you don't recognize, or
I really don't know?
Was it like an interviewer kind of person?
It's an interviewer
that wasn't Lexi Nair or
could have been. But
there's only 2.
I don't recognize them yet. I'm sorry.
Recognize Lexi
I know
Nair.
Renee.
Lexi Nair's the other one that's on half the show. Like,
we'll watch it
not
back.
Renee.
You let me know.
The one that Trent whispered in her ear after he turned on.
Could have been. To be fair, I was watching all of these at lightning speed because we don't usually watch Collision and Rampage.
Yeah, yeah. Full disclosure, we felt like we kind of had to watch all of like the Saturday/Friday show because of the weird layout with the NBA Finals, and then putting more like of consequence on Collision this week. And also, we're recording this day of Dynamite, which is a day earlier than we normally do. So makes sense that you would. But you know who Lexi Nair is, goddammit.
Well, let's pretend it was Lexi Nair.
Like when they do the sideline reporter thing, like with Danielson and
I don't remember what she looks like at this
Kingston.
point. You can keep saying
other
names.
one.
I don't know. I know Renee. If it wasn't Renee, I don't know who the fuck it is without looking at her. Don't get mad at me.
I don't believe you.
You don't care. She was a very pretty lady, whoever she was.
She probably looks like.
So Serena Deeb says, very simple. On one hand, very simple. On one hand, one of the greatest champions in the company's history. On the other hand, the undefeated professor, the obvious number one contender to the AEW Women's World Championship. And everything I've been through over the last 18 months, how hard I had to fight to get back here, failure is not an option. It's now or never for the professor. And after 4 years of everyone telling me how great I am, how I should hold that gold, it's time for me to prove it. It's time to accomplish something I've yet to do at AEW, and that's become Women's World Champion. Tony, this isn't a movie, sweetie. This is real life.
I usually don't like Deep's promos. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
Like, just what the content of it was like, fuck yeah.
Right in, right out, said it. I mean,
like taking account for the, everybody says I'm the best, but I'm not winning shit yet. Like, I need to prove it.
Yeah. Put up or shut up. And as a massive Serena Deeb fan, I'm very fine with her being the one dethroning Tony Storm.
Yeah, I'd be down for that, for sure.
Speaking of Tony Storm, she wrestled Anna Jay next for 9 minutes and 22 seconds. Anna Jay's clothes shrunk again in the wash.
She's going to have none on pretty soon.
I mean, that's the way it's going.
Or she's going to suffocate. One or the other.
Tony Storm came out first for reasons. She's the champ, but whatever.
That's because it's the champion's prerogative.
We'll go with that.
No, that's the in-canon rule. The champ gets to decide whether they want to come out first or second.
Yeah, but they never usually pick first. That's why it's so jarring to see.
It's uncommon, but like... Just like, you usually kick off if you win the toss in a football game, but sometimes you receive to start the game.
Fair. Anna Jay. Anna Jay seems like she'd be good with kids. She has like kindergarten.
She does, absolutely. Good call. I didn't think that's what you were going to say, but you're 100% right.
She has kindergarten teacher.
She seems like
a very lovely person.
Like she's got a calming like vibe.
She's like kind of silly, but like still serious.
Yeah,
like a lot of facials and stuff. I don't know.
Like, even if you made a dirty joke, she would look at you like, "Come on," but still kind of giggle.
Yeah, I don't know. Seems like a very, very likable person.
She does.
That very likable.
Dave and I are marrying Anna Jay in a polygamous ceremony.
Your wife's gonna have some opinions when we tell.
Well, I'm gonna invite her too.
Oh, okay. 59 wins for Anna Jay since she's been in AEW. They're really trying to hype up like her success, like in AEW, but like
because I think people don't think much of her because of a lot of her matches over the years have been not necessarily. They're good. She's good, and she's gotten consistently better the entire time she's in. But she's been wrestled a lot for a while. It was Dark, and then Collision, and a lot of Rampage matches. So like I think that's why they harp on she's won 60 matches here.
Yeah,
like
that's fair. I realized during this match, I don't like seeing champions in one-on-one matches every week.
I don't really either.
The Swerve thing makes sense because
I like it like that. If it's a specific situation where he's like, I'm going to be the fighting champion. I'm like the first black dude to win this, and I want to show you that like it's not a fluke. I'm gonna like I want to do well by my people and like show the world that like a black dude is going to be the fightingest goddamn champion you got.
I wish that black dude fought another black dude last week on Dynamite. I was thinking about him and Hobbs at the gym, and I'm like, God damn, that would have been so good.
So good.
But Tony Storm doesn't
trying to do the standing swerve stomp, and Hobbs doesn't even go down. He just has to jump off his lats, like
shit like that.
This was pretty good, I thought, though, match-wise.
The match is great.
Anna Jay does a better sleeper hold than anybody but Shibata. Yeah, it was good. It was good. People say great too much. Yeah. Tony Khan, like, I think, rubbed off on everybody.
It was
great. It's totally great. But Anna Jay, the Queen Slayer she does, looks like an actual choke, which most wrestlers' sleepers look like dog shit. You could see air between the elbow and she
pretty fucking good.
Hits it in like Shibata.
Yeah.
And that's not a small thing because that's her finish, and like it looked very believable, and I kind of bought on it for a second there. Like,
so she was speaking of the Queen Slayer. She had that in. Tony Storm stood up, fell backwards, which broke the hold, putting Anna Jay in the corner for the hip attack. Storm 0. Tony Storm.
Why doesn't she call it the Sweet Cheeks music? I know she did, like in joking, and done it on the Indies or whatever, and occasionally like one of the announcers would say it. It's just a way better name. Yeah. Just call it that.
Then it says the hip attack.
Yeah.
Hip attack's got more sharp consonants to it.
It does, but she's
And it
got
doesn't
like
wink
a
at
schizophrenic
WWE.
character, so like
Yeah, that's fair.
and says dirty stuff all the time.
I like hip attack. Sweet
I like it
Cheeks
when
music.
when like Mariah May does it.
Yeah.
For Tony specifically, I like that she called it Sweet Cheeks.
Yeah, I
music
mean,
in
that
the
makes
80s.
sense. Shawn Michaels had a super kick, but he called it something different, and it was
Yeah.
way more devastating by result. So this was good. I enjoyed this. Backstage, where Orange Cassidy's backstage with Chuck Taylor. Orange Cassidy all of a sudden has a dog, hands it to Chuck, hands it back
Well,
to...
he was out of friends. He needed to get a friend.
Chuck hands it back to Orange Cassidy and says that he wants to do this one on his own. So he's asking Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander to not interfere, which does play into the match. Next, we had a match I had no idea I was going to like as much as I did because I kind of forgot about these guys. For 12 minutes and 9 seconds, the Grizzled Young Veterans versus the Acclaimed.
Love those guys.
I'm good with these two feuding for the next 6 fucking months.
Yeah, me too. It was a super under the radar, like, is all elite drop too with the Grizzled Young Vets. Like, I
they
had
official?
heard that I don't think they got the graphic, but like them being on AEW TV to me is a big deal. Like, I love those guys everywhere they were, like NXT and NXT UK and like the Indies before that. They're very, very good. Like I would have made a bigger deal out of them coming in, but like this match was wonderful.
It was tremendous.
The Acclaimed is so goddamn much better as a tag team. Yeah. They just are. They have better chemistry. The flow, the way their moves, like the teamwork moves, are just built for two guys.
Well, they also don't have to play like the Jannetty trying to get the hot tag to Billy Gunn all the time. Like
that jerk off did have to get involved in the match still. Like even though the Acclaimed are our baby faces, he had to like take his shirt off and then get up on the ring apron to like distract or whatever.
You wouldn't be distracted by Kip Sop up on the
no. I was distracted watching my TV by Kip Sop.
Beautiful 70-year-old ass.
I was like, can you
fuck
get your
off my TV?
HGH ass off of my TV for 2 seconds? It's not all about you, Billy.
It is not.
We need to bring The Rock in for one episode to fucking put him back in his place.
That'd be funny. A couple cool spots in this match. The Acclaim did a backstabber neckbreaker combo,
that was cool.
which looked dope. That'd be a finisher for anybody else.
I love their finish. I love whatever that thing is that Bowens does.
Yeah.
It's cool looking, like the side slam, but it's like a spinny side slam. Yeah. And Caster like has an underrated elbow drop.
Very good elbow drop. He's got
Xavier does too, by the way. That reminded me the Gunther match that you didn't get to see. He awesome elbow drop. Yeah. Like Caster's I like because he's got so much heft to him. Yeah. So it feels like the mic drop is a good name for it. It feels like somebody dropping
his hips correctly.
He does.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very Shawn Michaels-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, that ended up winning the match. The combination.
Caster rap in forever too.
It was good.
I forget what the words were exactly, but it was like it flowed. It made sense. It was cool. He did make it like kind of a gay joke, but that's okay because Bowens is his boy, and Bowens then was joking about it too. So called him better bite the pillow when I'm all up in that ass. I think was the line.
And then and Bowens all like, oh, up in that ass. Couple. They did a Grizzled Young Vets did a spot here. I do want to talk about this because I've never seen this, and this is fucking rad. They did a second time we're talking about lung blowers.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them did a lung blower in the corner to, I believe, Max Caster, held him on his knees. So like whoever the Grizzled Young Vet is, he's on his back, he's got his knees like tucked, and he's got Max Caster on him, and he's holding Max Caster against his knees. And the other Grizzled Young Vet goes and does a fucking coast-to-coast drop kick. Yeah. Oh, my God.
It's insane.
Sign these motherfuckers right now.
Why didn't they do it right away? They were never really going to do what, like, they weren't going to reach their potential in WWE because still the tag thing is just not a priority over there.
Right.
In AEW, like, they love actual tag wrestlers that like their skill set is for, and that's exactly what these guys are. Yeah. They're built to be a tag team. Yeah. And then it'll fit perfectly in, like with the style and everything. Yep. And the tag division always could use help.
Yeah.
Sign them.
It might be, is it too like top heavy right now?
I don't think so. Not the tag division.
No.
I mean, like the roster in general, but not the tag division. No. Plus, the like super evil, unbeatable bosses of the company are the champs. So like, they're going to be knocking everybody down. You're going to need a lot of people like trying to get this impossible thing.
Right. That makes sense. I loved it.
Plus, they're just awesome to watch.
I love this. I might go back and watch this one again. I just loved it. Next, we had Shibata backstage. Shibata says he's going to take on STP tonight.
STP.
It's. I know it's Shane Taylor Promotions. I can't like. There's a Stone Temple Pilots concert.
I get a double whammy. I get the Stone Temple Pilots and then the Motor Oil. It's called STP.
But tripping on a hole in a paper heart. Like I saw a video of Stone Temple Pilots playing that live, and Scott Weiland does like this little like. I don't know how he's moving forward. Like he's stepping so like, and he's doing like his little like weird Scott Weiland dance. Every time they say SCP, I immediately flash to that. I forget that there's wrestlers called Shane Taylor, let alone a Shane Taylor promotion. But anyway, Shibata's fighting STP alone tonight, and then Daniel Garcia comes out of nowhere and says that he'll go out with him. And then Shibata with his voice translator says, "Okay, save the last dance for me." And Daniel Garcia walks after him like thrusting the air. Whatever.
I thought it would be difficult for me to come around to like comedy version of Shibata because he was always a killer, but he's great at it.
But it's a super awesome like
gimmick thing.
Yeah,
gives him personality. Got more personality than fucking Top Flight does.
Yes, no, but like he's a murderer in the ring, and then like he's got a personality outside of it. Like it's
like Jackie Chan or something. Like super nice and friendly and goofy, but then he gets in a fight and it's like destroying everybody.
I know punk bitch. I know punk bitch.
We were in the Dells this weekend and we had to watch regular TV because they didn't have like Netflix or whatever. Yeah. And Rush Hour 2 was on. So
TNT version of Rush Hour 2.
Yeah. How much bad shit did we watch just as a society for so many years? Just because it was on.
We had a nice time.
Like, it doesn't happen anymore. No. But yeah, I enjoyed myself watching stuff that was terrible that I hated.
It was part of the fun was seeing how terribly the overdubbing was.
Yeah.
Terrible the overdubbing was. There's no adverb in there. Do you want to do this 3 times for this show?
I'm not. No, just for Dynamite.
Okay. So the main event of this show was the AEW World Championship. Claudio Castagnoli versus Swerve. Went 21 minutes and 4 seconds. I just wrote the finish because it was a fine
big step up from his Coil Fletcher match. Claudio, big surprise. He had a very cool reversal into his European uppercut.
Yeah.
Kicked out of the Swerve stomp again after a little questionable like booty shimmy over. But I think now having happened in like consecutive shows, I think what they're doing is going away from that move as like a finish at least, because now in both matches he then did the more impressive standing Swerve stomp and then always finishing with the house call now.
Yeah,
which is a good call because the house call looks awesome and the standing Swerve stomp is just way more impressive.
Right.
I like that he still has the other Swerve stomp because it's a great looking stomp if the guy can get there without looking like a knucklehead.
Make it special.
Yeah. Pull it out when like Storm Driver, do one of those when I absolutely have to.
Absolutely.
But I do like that what looks like is going to be his finish now is something that's a little bit more out of nowhere. You can like
something peppy, something snappy. When I say you'll record that thing you do in Spanish.
Yeah. He also is Swerve so good at making the crack noise when he does his kicks that every house call he does, I'm like, oh my God.
I do notice that when wrestlers, and I noticed this with Mariah May on Dynamite, if you have leather or pleather pants on, your kicks sound way better.
Mariah May, though, is specifically maybe the best cracker in all of, and that's not a racist thing. I just mean the way she slaps herself. I mean, she is a cracker. But,
I didn't even catch that.
But she, like her headbutt too, it's like pop, like and it's hard to see. I will slow it down. Like I can't figure out where the hand's going to make the crack sound. For both Swerve and Mariah May, they're probably the two best ones.
Yeah.
So I like that a kick is his finish.
Yeah. I don't know. I always thought the house call was cooler looking.
Me too.
Always. More believable. More sudden.
I like the arm break thing he does in the house call. Are my two favorite things he does.
Absolutely. And that's how he won with a house call.
This show did 100 times more for Swerve than Dynamite following his title win. I think that was a little weird and disjointy because they were like, we're going to get no ratings here because NBA playoffs.
Well, you nailed it. Like that I can't get words out. What we were saying at the top of the show, just if Dynamite wasn't there, and they just shifted this over, it would have been awesome. But let's just agree to forget he did anything on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Because it didn't service him at all.
It was a waste of time.
It did nothing.
Kind of hurt him because he had a match against a guy that Ospreay had a 5-star match with like 2 weeks prior.
It's tough.
But this was a really, really good and a very different match than the one Ospreay had with Claudio.
Also, Claudio, I'm noticing when he has to be the guy to shine up somebody else.
He's an incredible
it's
base.
A very good role for him.
Incredible base.
Very good role.
Especially for a guy that's a little athletic because he's so sturdy and strong that you can do all kinds of fun stuff.
And if you keep him as the Bond villain guy,
he'd be the heavy for another really good top villain or something.
No silliness. I want this guy to be all fucking business.
Yeah. He'll play that promo. Shut up.
Yeah.
And
that's it. Immediately after this was AEW Rampage. And I have the
Rampage, baby.
I have the matches, but I did not get a chance to watch. I saw the end of the Trent Beretta.
So I watched the first match. I watched the entirety, and then the rest I kind of just skimmed through. So I'll speak to that match because it was really the only big consequential thing that happened. The parking lot brawl between Trent and Chuck E.T. This was more violent than I thought would be allowed on any kind of TV, non-pay-per-view. It was Texas Death. It was bloody Texas Death between Hangman and Swerve or something. Mm-hmm. Trent, who won the match, by the way, with the go-go plata on the top of a car, he was so covered in blood, it looked like a horror movie by the end of the match.
Yeah.
These guys were going as hard as they could at each other.
Well, it's as if it was the last time we would see somebody.
Later on, I think we found out why. And Chucky he looked emotional after the match, which was okay, yeah, I get it. You just had a war with this guy, and he used to be your friend. But you do seem pretty emotional. And then we were later to find out that in story, because of that match, he can't ever wrestle again. But I'm sure that the reason they did this match was his send off because the Chuck Taylor and Trent's their big welcome to AEW. Their first big thing they did was a parking lot brawl, and now Chuck is retiring. Chuck's getting a little older. Yeah. Doesn't seem like the kind of guy that really wants to stay in awesome shape all the time.
Nope. I don't see any world title championship prospects for him.
I wouldn't hate him on TV doing little Danhausen stuff every once in a while, but he wasn't really doing much in the ring anyway.
Right.
And he brought me fun over the years.
Yeah.
So I'm not glad to see him go, but I'm glad he was able to do the thing he wanted to do, to end it out. And he got to say shit last week.
Somebody better pick up
Which that makes more sense now, too. They finally let Chuck say shit because he's retiring in the week. I get it.
I don't know who's going to pick it up, but I need someone to do the Awesome Waffle now.
Yeah.
Awful
waffle. Yeah, although if you're a babyface, you should call it the Awesome Waffle, and then when you turn, you make it the Awful Waffle.
Awesome Waffle, boo.
It's a cool move. Though.
Yeah. Did that open the show?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So then Thunder Rosa was next?
Yes.
Thunder Rosa versus Diana Perazo.
And I just kind of watched it.
Thunder Rosa.
I had to get to the next thing because we had a lot of wrestling.
Thunder Rosa won. Do you want me to just rifle through these?
Yeah, go for it.
Big Bill defeated Trevor Blackwell in a minute 38.
Any Jericho stuff there?
I don't know.
Yeah, me either.
No.
The rest after the big things, it was just like a regular Rampage.
Because then it was Daniel Garcia and Shibata versus Shane Taylor Promotions, represented by Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. That one almost 15 minutes. It's a long match.
That was probably good. Maybe I'll go back and watch that one because I probably will enjoy that. It's all people I like.
So as you said, and I believe our first episode, we gave you your vegetables. Now we're going to give you your dessert.
Yeah.
Which I say all the fucking time now.
It's one of your gimmicks. We do a wrestling show, Dave.
No, that's your gimmick. I say it all the time in my day-to-day life. You said something about vegetables and dessert.
Oh, okay.
I say it all the time now. I'm stealing one of your lines. Dynamite was from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, from the Winnipeg's Canada Life Center.
A little over 4,000, but very into it people.
Good crowd.
They had
sometimes
they had the layout good too. But I guess this place really for events like this, they generally only set it up for 5,000 or 6,000 because they like to only do lower bowl,
right?
Because I guess the acoustics are shitty or something up top.
Oh, okay.
So I do think that they actually had people on the hard game side and stuff, and it makes a difference.
Yeah.
But it was hot crowd for a good show.
Absolutely.
Actually, I should ask you, Dave, what did you think of Dynamite this week?
It was good. It was a good show.
Yeah.
didn't want to fast forward through pretty much any of it, which is unlike me.
It's weird for me because we're recording this after the show actually aired. I've only watched it once so far. So this is going to be
we're going
to unique.
I got to your place a little later than I wanted to because I was writing down some dialogue because people were dropping some goddamn gospel on this
there
show.
was a lot of good talking.
A lot of good talking on this show. So the way it opened is Tony Khan is remotely broadcasting. He says he's in Jacksonville, Florida.
They're playing like fucking cheesy ass inspirational music behind him too, which I loved.
And the quality's not great.
Like
it's 2024 and he looks like he's being recorded on a VHS recorder. Tony Khan is in Jacksonville, Florida. He'll be producing the show from the offices of the Jaguars. And then he says, unfortunately, I'm not cleared to leave Jacksonville due to the actions of the AEW's EVPs Matthew and Nicholas Jackson and Jack Perry. Due to the head issues I suffered, and it's crackling the entire time.
Yeah, the Wyatt Six are now getting involved,
and we get the payoff way faster. The feed gets all wonky as he starts saying their names, and it cuts completely to a one of those several colored vertical bar. We lost signal emergency broadcast things, but it says AEW no signal. Goes to the production truck, and we see the Bucks.
Yeah.
Nicholas Jackson.
Right up perfect.
By the way, I like Nicholas Jackson, how he talks now.
Yeah, me too.
I
thought he was a terrible promo for most of his career. I love the way he talks in this character.
His cadence.
Yeah.
And
he sticks to it too. That fucking
it's really slow and
he's always just there's something that he's fucking super pissed about.
Yeah.
You never really know what
Loved
it is.
It. Fleshed him out nicely because I thought he was just like the dumb high flyer guy.
He kind of was. I mean, Matthew was always like the brains behind in the operation, and Nick was the guy that just was the
Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, Jeff Hardy. Yeah, without all the drugs.
Yeah. So Nicholas says we're having technical difficulties over in Jacksonville, Florida. Tony Khan, we're sorry we lost connection. Matthew, Tony's not here, but we are, and you may be asking yourself, how is that possible after what they did last week? And Nicholas says, yeah, how are we not fired?
Ironclad contracts.
Yep. Ironclad contracts with a founder's clause in there. And I don't want to get into the boring details, but let's just say that ourselves and our colleagues are probably not going anywhere. And also, in the details of our agreement, it says if Tony Khan is unreachable and he can't physically be at the event, the EVPs would succeed him in running the show. In other words, we're in charge now.
We're in charge now.
And Nicholas says, with that being said, Matthew, let's run the new show open.
The new open. Which made me stand up in my chair.
So they cold opened the show with Tony Khan. There was no light the boom, bring the fuse or whatever.
Well, now it's...
but there was none of whatever the hell it was.
I'm trying to remember.
Going out tonight.
Yeah, going down. Yes, thank you.
Whatever the AEW version of that Nickelback song is. But the new open now they play it's the same vibe, the same song, but it's
same kind of graphics, but it's all elite.
It's only the four guys in the elite. And then it comes back and Shivani has no idea what's going on. Shivani is sticking to his character that he was famous for 30 years ago. And he's playing it again, and he's a little older and grumpier about it, which I really like. So again, it's a 360 takeover thing.
Great.
Again.
I was laughing out loud.
Yeah,
this was the new open.
Awesome. This is everything I've wanted them to do. You fucking called that they were going to do this.
Because they just like I said, people are not used to the way that they tell the story because we're so used to, or most people are so used to the one way that we had on TV.
No, but you called that they were going to do production changes and stuff.
I did.
I'll give you credit where credit's due. In the ring, we had Prince Nana and Swerve came in. Swerve gets in. He says 3 matches, 3 shows in 1 week. That is the type of champion that AEW deserves, and the type of champion Swerve said he was always going to be. Now,
speaking of things I called, Dave.
What's that?
Swerve's first opponent.
We called, by the way.
On the text thread, my first, if you go back, check the receipts, I sent a screenshot of me Googling, is Swerve Strickland's dad alive?
Oh, I was thinking that,
of course you were, because he's the best villain.
Immediately, because I remember talking on the podcast.
I just pat my own back, that's all. So I'm sure you thought of it exactly the same as me. There's only one real serious heel in this company.
Also, too, how do you not come to this conclusion? Who the fuck else was it going to be?
It's the logical answer.
But it's before he gets there, Swerve lays in a little. He kind of steps out of his lane a little, which felt a little unnecessary. But he said, now what AEW doesn't deserve are selfish, greedy, childish, power-hungry EVPs that think they could just throw their weight around and do whatever they want without any consequence.
I do like babyface leadership guy pushing back against the evil.
Hey, but he's not in a program with them.
Bosses. No, but like he's taking the role of leader because he's the champion.
Yeah.
He wants to lead by example, and he also wants to say, "Hey, we're not going to just let you push us all around."
Right.
He's the champ,
but then
he feels like he should be at the forefront of that.
But then they pushed him around.
Yeah, they did, but like, still stand up for yourself, you know.
That's fine. And then he said, "Whatever y'all did."
Like when storylines like there's a Venn diagram of multiple different storylines that like cross over.
I think the reason I didn't love him talking about the EVPs is because we didn't even know who his next opponent was yet.
Yeah.
And granted, like the EVPs named his next opponent, but they also said prior to them taking over the show last week that they were going to name his opponent when Tony Khan was still in charge.
Yeah.
So like this doesn't jive well with me. But again, that's a very minor down. Swerve said that's going to be handled at some point, but right now we're getting down to business. Who's going to be my next opponent? Who's going to be my opponent at Double or Nothing? I don't know who it is. Winnipeg, y'all don't know who it is. Come present yourself, but make sure you wipe your feet before you step into whose house? Nicholas Jackson and Matthew Jackson come up on the big screen. And Nicholas Jackson says,
I thought they were talking about Jericho for a minute with the...
I don't know who they were talking. To be totally honest with you, I had no idea.
Because the stats that they gave before, it was like, oh, those are all Jericho stats. There were also all Omega stats, too.
And it was so... Like, I know it's not Omega, but who the fuck are they talking about? Like, I couldn't place it. So Nicholas says, "Hey, Swerve, how's it going? Congratulations, World Heavyweight Champion. You deserve it. But guess who else is champs? Us. Matthew Jackson. Hey, Swerve, we also wanted to drop by because, something's been bothering us a little bit. Feels like maybe the success has gotten a little to your head."
He's been champ for like 4 days.
Meanwhile, the guys talking are the ones doing a hostile takeover of the show. The first time we hear from you after winning the big one is you badmouth your bosses, your EVPs on national television, using curse words, by the way. The network hated
curse words.
The network hated that. Yeah. Nicholas Jackson says, "That's a fine."
I love how deadpan he always says that. You actually did the eyes pretty good there.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fine.
That's why I like the character. He's just, I don't know. He's just sticking to it.
It's like the executioner of the duo.
It's fucking nice. Back to Matthew. So maybe you need a dose of humility, in my opinion. How do you do that? Well, how about we arrange the very best, perfect opponent for you at Double or Nothing? Nicholas, he happens to be one of the best Canadian pro wrestlers of all time.
I was
Matthew.
like, oh, Jericho? Shit.
He's a former champion, like all of us.
Jericho?
Swerve.
Shit.
Nicholas, and he's a guy who hasn't been around in a while, but we see him at the go position right now, and he's ready to meet you.
And that, I was like, Omega?
Yeah. Hit his music, guys, in 3, 2, 1, boom.
I can't really do the song because it's all... Your patriarchy comes out.
Hey, yeah, they do. Christian Cage comes out with Mother Wayne, Nick Wayne, and Killswitch. Christian Kane. They all get in the ring. Christian's about to talk into his mic, and he just hits Swerve with it again. A lot of microphone assaults in professional wrestling lately. Swerve fights back, but the patriarchy beats him down. And Christian does the kill switch onto the world title. Yeah. And thank you, Swerve, for staying on the title to sell it like he just got knocked out by being
on the metal plate.
Yeah. Usually they'll roll off or something like that, or it won't hit correctly. Even if he didn't hit correctly and he shifted, it just looked fucking dope.
Yeah, it looked great.
Like little details. Good job. Then Christian gets on the mic. And by the way, Swerve's like...
Did they do that here? Or was that after?
That's after.
Okay.
Yeah. So Swerve's slowly coming to, but like Killswitch keeps his foot on his lower back, right? So Christian says, "Swerve, there's something you should know about me. I never forget. I haven't forgotten that some months ago you broke into my son Nick Wayne's gym and you left him in a pool of his own blood."
Which is true.
My son. He said, I haven't forgotten. Then the crowd gets rowdy. He's like, "I haven't forgotten." He goes, "Keep it down while I'm conducting my business."
This goes without saying, but this promo was fucking awesome.
"I haven't forgotten that at one time you and I were a tag team at the biggest show in the history of this business, and you lost. You embarrassed me, and I've been waiting for the right moment to make you answer for those mistakes. And you went and you won yourself the world championship. And it seems like there's no better time than right now," and he kicks him, "to make you pay for those mistakes. I'm going to embarrass you the same way you embarrassed me. I'm going to end your title reign before it even starts. I'm going to make sure you're a footnote in the history of AEW." we have motivation. Now I heard your little.
I love that he like brought like my idea or our idea was just like Christian because he's like the heeliest heel and he's going to give you a good match at your next pay-per-view. You're not going to be taking the title off Swerve, so he's the guy. But the Christian genius that he is was able to find a way to like loop it all in and make sense on a personal level,
which he didn't even have to do.
No, he didn't.
But he said, "Now I heard your little speech last week, Swerve, when you talked about your path to the world title, how grueling it was, how you put every ounce of your being in it, to the point where your daughter, she doesn't feel like she even knows you. Well, Swerve, when I'm done with you, your daughter's not going to want to know you, but I can promise you this: your daughter is going to have a father she can be proud of for the rest of her life."
Yeah, it's a blood feud now. I've been like one promo, it's a blood feud.
And then he gets cheap heat. Says, now Winnipeg, the same way the Colorado Avalanche walked into your house and took your championship dreams, and this got a big old boo.
He's a Maple Leafs fan. They haven't won in 70 years.
He says, I'm going to walk into Swerve's house at Double or Nothing and rip the AEW championship out of your hands. But Swerve, know this, the pain has just begun. And then the braid thing you're talking about.
I think he ripped it out of his hair, but
it's an extension.
Luchasaurus, for kayfabe, rips one of Swerve's braids out, and my favorite thing in this whole segment happened. Then they like handed it to each other, and then when Nick Wayne had it in his hand, the braid, the entire crowd just started chanting, "Eat it, eat it, eat it." I was like, oh, they want Nick Wayne to eat Swerve's braid. That's great.
Yeah. It's a nice build.
Wrestling is wonderful.
Nice build.
Nice build in one segment. I was like, now I feel more for this than like most builds that take weeks and weeks and weeks. Christian Cage is just a genius at this. He's just the best.
Also, too, and like I was waiting until after this to say, because we were talking before Christian came out, I don't like how they're muddying the waters with the EVPs or whatever. After this, just after Christian did his shit, I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
Fine, because now they've dipped their toe in that water. Yep. The EVPs are kind of flexing.
Yeah, they're punishing
muscle.
him essentially for saying anything, which they already did to Eddie Kingston a little while back.
Yeah.
They did. Anybody that talks about them publicly, they get smacked down.
Absolutely. So now we have multiple things going on at once, and you're breadcrumbing. For eventually when Swerve's going to fight the Elite, right? Yeah. So this was dope. They rerun the package next. Do you have anything else?
Are we getting Swerve Okada?
After
like 2 pay-per-views?
In 2 months, we're getting Okada Kenneth Omega. Because he specifically said, give me 2 months.
2 months. And he looked healthy.
I think...
I'm still erect from that... segment.
I can verify. That's, I don't know. There's so many fucking ways to go now, which is cool.
Yeah.
They reran the package about the House of Black.
Yeah, Mordecai from Kevin Woods.
Yeah. So up next was, in fact, the Cope Open, the TNT title, and Edge was fighting Buddy Matthews, the low man on the totem pole.
Most important thing, Justin Roberts no longer says superstar. He just says one, the rated R superstar. For the first 2 months, he did 3 supers.
He didn't have mist in his face at that point. So
it sounds much better with just the rated R superstar.
So, Edge Adam Copeland against Buddy Matthews.
If you look at my notes, it's Cope, Edge, Cope, Edge, Cope, Edge.
It depends where your fingers go. They're having him run the gauntlet. So it's gonna be Matthews, and it's gonna be Brody King, and then he's going to drop probably to Malachi, or he's going to join or something. But these 4 guys are going to be tied at the hip for quite a while. Yeah, they did is this real? Did Buddy and Matthews get hurt in this match?
I think he was selling. He did it did seem like he was hurt, but I remember an Andrade match he had a year and a half ago where it seemed, and everybody in the internet too thought they're both hurt.
He was bleeding from the mouth.
But I don't know if it was hard way or what, but I don't think he was actually hurt.
So what they did and what we're talking about is they they both do a cross body, they're running at the ropes and they collide with each other. And then Buddy Matthews looks like you see blood around his
internal
mouth.
Bleeding.
And he goes to the corner and they go to commercial and the match was not great after that.
No, it got a little clunky.
Yeah. So
but you know what? That's what happened in that Andrade match too. Yeah. They intentionally got clunky. I mean, I thought this whole match was pretty old school, kind of 90s. But the selling was so good that I was okay with it being clunky and plotty.
Well, they're both very,
bit.
very good.
And they're awesome. Edge is incredible at selling. But I think he was doing the same thing he was doing in that. If I hadn't happened to watch that match on Rampage or whatever, like 2.5 years ago, I would for sure think he was hurt. But I'm like, I've seen you fucking do this before, man. Like, and even do this thing where you slow down after your like injury, and don't really wrestle the same like rate and stuff. He did that exact thing. So I think hope I'm right because I like Buddy Matthews. I don't want to see him hurt.
I mean, I hope you're right too, and I hope these guys are as good at acting as we want them to be.
Up until that, the match was good, I would say.
I have 2 notes: Avalanche Execution, and they refuse to call it to go to sleep.
What do they call it?
They didn't call like some super generic like.
I mean, that's Kenta's name. They don't have to,
that's why it struck me as odd. I'm like, it's not even Punk's move.
It'd be like, I don't want to call it the DDT because Jake the Snake or something like. Yeah. It was like some Japanese lady came up with that.
It was just weird that they didn't call it to go to sleep. The finish was.
You can at least say GTS, right?
They didn't say nothing.
That's weird.
Yeah. The finish saw Buddy Matthews going for a curb stomp. He misses it. Edge spears him, gets the W.
Is Edge's spear like way better than it was his whole career?
Yes, because he follows through.
Yeah.
He would do the thing where he would make contact and
immediately fall
to the floor.
Down. Like, you look terrible.
It looked really
I always
bad.
thought he was like a garbage spear. And now, like, he looks like he's Goldberg or something.
He cares
like,
now.
Yeah.
He cares now. Or maybe there was an edict back then, like, your spear can't look better than my spear. Or
that's possible.
Some shit like that.
They also don't want you, like, laying stuff in quite as... pick and choose certain guys. Sheamus has always been able to lay it in. But, like, most of their talent, they don't want, like, really popping people.
And then you do shoot interviews 20 years later. It's like, Edge speared me 40 times. He never touched me. It's like, fucking touch him.
Touch him. There's a reason Miz matches all look like trash.
The best spear in fucking WWE history is when Goldberg speared Nunzio into another goddamn lifetime.
Killed him. Gave him 3 concussions.
It was amazing. So after the match, Edge is beaten down Buddy Matthews with a chair. He gets a cherry.
Yeah.
And he
is getting corrupted, I believe.
He's those misted eyes are making him go crazy. So he got misted by Malachi Black.
PPV.
And he's making him go nuts. He's setting up the concerto to do on Buddy Matthews. The lights go out, and when the lights come back on, Malachi Black is standing right next to Edge, and he's telling him, do it.
Yeah, kill him.
Edge raises
and I was like, oh, what are we doing here?
It's good. I love a good possession angle.
Yeah.
Edge raises the chair to go do it, and then he kind of pivots his hips. So he's going to swing the chair at Malachi Black. Lights go out again, and when they come back on, both House of Black guys
They go. My only concern, I really want Edge Malachi singles, at least some kind of a program, because Malachi's not had a singles program.
That's where they're going.
In 2 years.
That's where they're going with it.
But like, if Edge is going to end up joining the House of Black, at least I would like to have them feud first.
Sure.
I mean, they could do the join and then break up and then feud because of the breakup, but I really want it to happen soon. So like, I want to see those guys.
Maybe, like, how fast does this mist work? Like, if he
it varies greatly.
Yeah, if he sprays them
Sky
again,
Blue took like 9 months. Yeah. Willow Nightingale was resistant to it.
Yeah.
Julia Hart was like a day because she was like, "Fuck this cheerleader bullshit."
So it's just like the common cold. Some people are more susceptible.
It was probably how strong a will you have.
Yeah.
And Jack Reacher's probably got a pretty strong will.
Yeah. Who's got a stronger will than Willow Nightingale? I hated the next thing. Hated it. Why is Samoa Joe back on fucking TV?
Joe and Isaiah Cassidy?
Why is he back on TV?
He should be on vacation.
Yes.
It's dumb. On a very base level, I see what they were doing. They were like, "Oh, he just lost the belt. Let's reestablish him as a monster."
You don't need to.
You don't gotta do that. He's Joe. Like,
we all get it.
I don't need to see him beat the shit out of Isaiah Cassidy. All it does is hurt Isaiah Cassidy. I feel exactly the same way about Joe.
This was the same thing they did for Keith Lee. It was the same fucking match. Identical. It was he's going to bump like crazy. He's going to shriek and scream. And
I like Isaiah Cassidy too.
But he's there. Let's make this new guy look like fucking gold.
Yeah. But Joe's not like... Joe doesn't need to... We don't need to be convinced.
Samoa
Joe.
Joe was not shiny when he won the title.
No.
And he was like, oh, yeah, this makes sense.
He was a killer that would do anything.
Yes. We know who he is.
It still is that. I get it.
Let this fucker go on. Just get him off TV.
Yeah, give him a break. I think everybody, when they lose the world title, should get
go
like
away
a pretty
for a
extended
long
break.
Time.
Yeah, it's the best thing you can do.
Because now what? They just...
Exactly. Are they going to bring him out next week and have him, like, I don't know, beat the shit out of, like, Captain Sean Dean.
Right.
Like, well, who's that help?
And he's just not going to, like, swerves on the show every week. He's just not going to say nothing to him.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah, he should definitely be off TV.
I hate
right now.
this.
I didn't like it either.
No. They did a package next to Sky Blue calling out Will and like,
Crowd was still super hot for this fucking piece
yeah,
of shit.
of course.
Like,
well, yeah, I mean, I would be stoked if I went to the show and
Samoa Joe beating the shit out of a guy. It's fun to watch.
It's like,
sure.
whoa, we get a Samoa Joe exhibition bout. Like that's pretty cool. Package Sky was next. Sky Blues calling out Willow Nightingale on Rampage.
I'm here for that match.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. We'll review that next week. Even though Rampage did immediately follow Dynamite this week, we are going to.
We didn't have time.
No. Nor did I want.
I didn't really care about this.
There would have been 4.
I only cared about.
shows.
I only cared about last Rampage because of the parking lot brawl, and that was great. But
Orange Cassidy's in the ring, and he's talking. He says, "I hate this. See, I thought after Saturday we'd all come together, stand in the ring together as best friends." He's obviously referring to Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta.
With a tear in my eye, Orange Cassidy.
But see, that's never going to happen. I've been told that because of what Trent did to Chuck after the match, my best friend Chuck Taylor will never wrestle again. So now I'm standing out in this ring alone to tell you, Trent Beretta, that the next time, then Trent comes out. Trent says, "Big surprise. Orange Cassidy's making things about himself again, trying to make somebody else's career ending about himself." Orange Cassidy just bolts towards Trent.
That's kind of a good point. Like, why are you out here announcing that guy's retirement?
Yeah.
Shouldn't he get to do his promo talking about it? Like,
I mean, is Orange Cassidy as a heel a good thing?
I don't think he's a heel, but I do think that some of the stuff that Trent is saying about him being kind of like full of himself.
Well, the mascot comment last week was dead on. Like, we brought in you as a mascot, and
like I do think he sometimes like doesn't realize that he's being kind of a dick to his friends because he's so conceited. Like,
absolutely. So Orange Cassidy rushes towards Trent, and they get pulled apart.
A bunch of people holding Orange Cassidy back.
Nobody holding back Trent, right?
Statlander holding Orange Cassidy back.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, you're definitely turning. Like,
the whole time Trent is yelling, "Chuck's career's over because of you. You're too selfish." Versions of that. And Statlander and the staff comes out to hold back Orange Cassidy. And then, unbeknownst to everybody, but to the great pleasure of my eyeballs,
absolutely wonderful,
Don Callis walks out.
I'm like, what's going on here?
And
worlds are colliding.
And they had teased that he's looking to add to the Don Callis family on this episode. And this is the last fucking place I thought I'd see him.
Me too.
Don Callis gets he's chatting with OC, gets in his ear, and eventually those two
wonderful addition to any group.
Those two walk away up the ramp.
And I think the lady that was holding them back is going to join the both of them.
I cannot wait to listen to retired professional wrestlers who have podcasts tell me why it's so ridiculous that we have Orange Cassidy in a heel faction where they do not understand. And I said this last week, where they do not understand the nuance that you can have multiple personalities under one umbrella.
Not everyone has to be Skeletor.
No, thereby creating.
I just pointed out Orange Cassidy can be kind of a conceited dick sometimes.
But even if let's say we ignore that and like we love him because we love him.
Total babyface. Maybe he just wants to get the opportunities that working with Don Callis gets people. Because he just got people like 3 world title matches.
Yeah.
Using his influence too.
It's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's so different and so not what
different.
I thought it was going to be.
That's the word, different. It is like the story directions they're going in are like so completely nothing like anything they've done before. Like we've seen so much. We've been watching wrestling for 40 goddamn years.
Yeah.
We've seen so many things. It feels like you've seen everything.
Yeah.
But then something like this happens and I'm like, oh goddamn, I have no idea what's going on.
The only time I could remember, it probably is, if I think of it for more than 30 seconds, I could probably think of more, but they built an entire Survivor Series around heels and faces being on the same team together in 1995. And like it shit the bed because they didn't know how to do it. And it got massive criticism because like, why are you putting the good guys with the bad guys? It's like, bitch, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's really
they're
interesting.
They're going to end up feuding.
Yes.
Like so you'll get the good guy versus the bad guy.
Yes.
Like Will Ospreay is going to feud with the Callis family.
Absolutely.
But right now, Don Callis has helped him a bunch, so he's still like sticking with him.
Yes. And it's also something we haven't seen. And what is he going to do? Go on another 3-month title run where he's just like John Cena?
Yeah, everybody's calling. I keep hearing that nonstop. He's got to win the title at Wembley. No. You will be fucking bored out of your mind if he wins the title and then holds it for a year or something.
Oh,
it'll be
nobody wants that.
Ospreay wins LOL. Nobody wants that.
No,
they think they want it. they're wrong.
I'll tell you what, this first year in Wembley, I'd have him lose.
I would too.
Whatever he's in.
I would absolutely have him lose to like Okada, I think.
That's sexy.
Because that's their big bad.
A little bit of blood flow when you said that. Backstage, they had Renee and the Bucks. See, I know who Renee is when she's backstage.
You know who Lexi is.
And Renee's asking if there's any nuggets that the Bucks want to share about what they have planned. Matthew Jackson says, first off, you're killing it as usual. You look great. How's the family? How's John? And she goes to answer.
They just cut her off.
And he goes, that's great. That's great. And Matthew goes, hey, we don't really have time for this.
I'm sorry. I'm just doing my...
Oh, you're fine. So, hey, we don't really have time for this right now. We're looking for an old friend. I don't know if you bumped into him yet, have you? And Nicholas goes, we've had way too much TV time on Dynamite tonight. Let's give some to our good friend, the scapegoat, Jack Terry.
Again, that's the thing that people bitch about them a lot on the internet discourse.
But also, too, just his... I think part of the thing I like about his character is like he kind of listens sometimes, and like here there was no segue into what he was saying.
He's got his own shit going on in his head at all times. That's a good catch because I think that is absolutely accurate.
It was
he's
very
just
funny.
kind of paying attention, but he's thinking about some other thing that's pissing him off at all times.
They're looking for Matthew's looking for Kenny Omega. Hey, have you seen Kenny Omega? He's like, let's go over here.
Yeah, we've been on TV too much.
That's funny. Jack Perry walks in. Renee asks him, what was going through your mind last week when you attacked Tony Khan?
I still think he's a different guy. I still think Jack Perry's a different person.
Even to Japan?
They put a different person.
Japan changes you.
Like, gave him charisma. You can't just get charisma.
Riz. He's the Rizzler.
He is the...
40. I can't say Rizzler.
No, you really shouldn't.
No. I saw
nobody passed like I'm gonna say 17.
I saw a Instagram video where a guy was like filming his like children explaining like current lingo to him, and he was just like, "Wait, what does that mean? What does that mean?" And I had no idea what any of these.
I know most of it because for a nerdy reason. I like linguistic stuff. I like paying attention to what slang is, and then which slang actually carries over and comes into the lexicon, like dude and cool, were not regular words many years ago, and now it's like said in boardrooms and shit. So I like paying attention to that kind of stuff.
I've adopted dope over the last 2 years. I say dope
nonstop.
Yeah.
Like that's one of my.
It was really jarring to me when I started saying, "I'm like,
it's
dope."
a great word.
Yeah, and then it's
a great slang word.
There. You also have a daughter.
That also helps. Yeah, I'm watching like Olivia Rodrigo
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Oh, she's good songwriter.
Yeah.
I
listen to
anti-Swiftie.
I listen to a lot of Beach Boys. 40.
I like the Beach Boys too.
Jack Perry says, "Well,
that book you told me about though, I'm not so sure about the Beach Boys anymore."
We'll do book club another day. Jack Perry says, "Well, I meant what I said last week when I told Tony that the only thing I want is what's best for AEW. And some people may not be able to see it right now, but that's exactly what I did. See, the funny part to me is that, Tony, you're the one who made me the scapegoat. It hurt at the time, but I accepted it because I realized it was a sacrifice that somebody was going to have to make, but we all have to sacrifice. And thanks to you, we are entering a new era under the elite." Baseline low simmer CM Punk chants the entire time.
Yeah.
From the crowd. Good promo.
I really do enjoy if you're paying close attention, there's always like a CM Punk chant from one group, and then like it get drowned out from another.
Yeah.
And then another chant starts over here, and then these guys it's like a constant war of CM Punk versus the elite in like little pockets of people in the crowd.
For them, that's cool.
It's engagement. That's all good.
100%. It's like leaving a comment in the comment section. Jack Perry colored his argument nicely here. He
couldn't talk for shit before he went to Japan.
And now he's actually like,
it sounds good. It sounds like naturalistic.
Like he's a pariah. Like, right?
Yeah.
So after that, we had the FTW Championship.
Jericho getting booed in Winnipeg. Didn't think I'd ever see that years ago.
They do not like the learn. I am the learning tree. Chris Jericho versus Shibata for the FTW Championship. He also got the tights on again. He's got little shorty shorts on.
That face of his when he's just like,
dude. Did you notice how much he's waving like a goon?
Yeah,
like he's waving like he's walking a red carpet and smiling. His dad's there. Ted Irvine's there, which is
he stole the Bucks pyro gag. Did you notice that?
No,
his pyro went like apeshit.
Ballistic?
It went like the fireworks, then the shooting flames up. It went on for as long as the Bucks thing. I'm like, you're just ripping off the Bucks, Jericho.
I have to go back and look at it.
So he doesn't do the thing But
Yeah.
the pyro's going off like the whole time he's walking down the ramp.
It's like Edge pyro.
Yeah.
Like peak WWE. It's like, why do you have so much explosion? So this was so they wrestled actually, I didn't time these.
It was just a straight strong style match. It was 100%
It was super fun.
strong style.
It was super ridiculous. At one point, Jericho does a lion salt, and he shortchanged it, and his knee caught Shibata right in the balls.
Yeah.
He gets out at one point a bag of hockey pucks.
The hockey puck thing was beautiful. When he whips it off of Shibata's like forehead to get out of the...
So he, but before he does that, he does an STO and a suplex onto the hockey puck. So that's believable.
Yeah.
Also, you're in Canada. Like,
I wonder if they froze him like they do in the NHL before the game.
For Shibata's sake, I sincerely hope they did not. I wrote. I don't know why I wrote too many chops because it was the perfect amount of chops.
And they were all like awesome chops. It was. I mean, this was like it was not no other style. It was like a Japanese strong style match from like the early 2000s.
Let's play. How many chops were there? Christ. So I went back and I counted what I'm pretty sure I got them all. But
can you give me a hint? How many sequences of chops were there?
One long ass.
Was it just one? Was it
so
just one?
It was pre-commercial,
mm-hmm.
and then they had picture in picture, so it was all during commercial, and then it was a little bit after commercial.
So
how many chops were there?
Probably 4 minutes. 50.
You're close. 61.
I was gonna say 60. I'm like, this is overshooting.
Oh, that would have been
just the time. That's like about 4 minutes because it's a 3-minute commercial break. If they're doing it nonstop, Shibata's little chops are so much better than Eddie Kingston's. They look like they actually hurt you.
It was comical how much you were fucking slapping each other. At first, I'm just like, this is stupid, and then like I kind of caught what they were doing.
It was like a Family Guy thing. We're like, this is dumb. No, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I loved it.
It was like Black Taurus bitch slapping Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, for 4 minutes straight. So after the chopping, Shibata runs toward Jericho, and as you just mentioned, Jericho throws a hockey puck at Shibata, and he puts him in the walls of Jericho. He gets out. And then at one point, Jericho grabs the puck and throws it in his fucking face.
Like from a foot away.
Point blank, yeah.
Like fires it off his forehead.
This was silly as shit, but it made me laugh.
It was like silly and brutal.
Oh, no,
somehow.
the next thing was silly.
Oh, okay.
Jericho puts a trash can on Shibata.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the corner. Shibata eventually stands up. The whole time, Jericho's hitting him with a kendo stick. And Shibata starts, I guess, no-selling, for lack of a better word.
He's like Michael Myers, like slowly walking at Jericho.
And he's only walking toward Jericho when he hits him because he's following the vibration of it. When clearly
it's like that Doctor Who episode.
He's looking down at his feet. But and then then he backs Jericho into a corner.
Jericho's getting like more and more scared.
And this goes on for a long time. And then
I was amused the whole time they were doing it too.
I have more notes for this. It's like this and the Kenny Omega thing. But he eventually takes a trash can off, gets Jericho in the corner, and does his basement drop kick with the garbage can in Jericho's lap, which looked just brutal. So this match was a nice bit of playfulness, which is brutal.
We also got a Steve Blackman tease. And Shibata he had 2 kendo sticks, and it very much looked like he was about to do the Steve Blackman thing. But then because he's the good guy, he was like honorable. He gave Jericho one.
So
of the
he throws
kendos.
one to Jericho, and they sit crisscross applesauce across from each other, and they just start slapping each other.
Shit out of each other with the kendo sticks.
And then Jericho. What is he? Kendo stick. Oh, and then the way the sequence ends is Shibata puts a kendo stick between Jericho's legs, does a back suplex to Jericho, and he lands on a pile of hockey pucks.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shibata gets a table, sets up the table in the corner. He eventually sets it up like a normal ass table. And then Big Bill comes out, boots the shit out of Shibata, and then choke slams him through the table. And Jericho gets the W.
Like, everything Big Bill does looks impactful and real.
Yeah. He's going to be a hell of an addition
to
this Chris Jericho line.
I kind of think it would be funny if his whole learning tree was just Big Bill. If it's he just kept it Big Bill, like as his class.
That'd be funny.
Like make it obvious that like you're only keeping him around because he's a monster. And he will do whatever
you're a chicken shit heel.
Saying that like, oh yeah, it's my class. When really, it's just your giant scary good. You're good.
It's just your heater.
Yeah.
So yeah, who would have thought we would?
I'm like 100% in.
I'm looking at
Jericho.
I was looking at
so
his
one of
merch
those
online.
fun things on the show.
Let's see if he has any new merch online.
He's got to have learning tree stuff up.
Let's see. Chris Jericho, because the next thing's super fun, and I want to focus on it. Lionheart, Golden Jets, Chris Jericho, and a Lion Hook. No, he has no.
So they haven't commissioned their learning tree stuff yet?
No, they have Painmakers. Man, you go back. He has all his gimmicks up here. He is the
of course
demo
he
god.
does, fucking carny prick.
Le Champion. You can get the Le Champion bandana.
Ooh, I kind of want a Le Champion bandana. Never worn a bandana in my entire life, but
We can get it for Rocky. Backstage, we go to Renee, who is with Willow, Chris Statlander, and Stokely.
it's going to bum me out when they break them up because I like them together. But
Stat and Stokely looks furious.
Yes.
Right? And Stat looks just kind of mildly annoyed. And Statlander's apologizing. She says Mercedes had no right to come out. And Stat just wanted to diffuse the situation and get back and get everything, all the attention back.
you're
on
lying,
Willow.
Statlander.
And I think like her, I don't want to say it's bad acting because I think it's purposeful what she's doing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. She's letting it on. To,
Yeah, and
wants us to notice.
like how so then Renee pivots right away to Sky Blue. Renee says that Willow says last week's fiasco has left her in a fighting mood. Mercedes, don't think I forgot about that cheap shot. I've got something for you, but Sky, if you want to fight, honey, I will mop the floor with you. If this title is on the line, I will maim you. I will massacre you right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Heavy talking from Willow for a change. She's had enough, I think, of all the bullshit.
Yeah. Also, too, it's like a not linear challenger. She's saying this She's speaking this aggressively too, which is like cool.
Yeah, I think it's just like all this. She's dealing with a lot of bullshit right now.
It's a character
and
shift.
It would aggravate me too.
Yeah, bleeding into everything.
Sky Blue, you're about to be the victim of me being pissed off at a bunch of other stuff.
Right. Also, too, Julia Hart's out, and you're kind of aimless right now, so I will gladly squash you. Stokely says, I can't believe that Sky Blue said that about me, and I can't complain to nobody because those pricks, the Young Bucks, beat up Tony Khan. And the worst part about it is they did it before payday. They couldn't wait till Friday.
So, like, nobody gives a shit about his complaints because, like, they tried to kill the boss.
Yeah.
And then they also, like, tried to kill the boss. And so, like, set payroll back. Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Pieces of shit.
A crew guy comes out of nowhere, hands Renee her phone from off camera. And she said she got a text from Nicholas and Matthew. And she reads it. It says, Renee, great job. One note, please start smiling.
Smiling, yeah, the smile thing again.
Let Stokely and Statlander know that they are banned from ringside. If there's any interference, Willow will be stripped of the TBS championship. Have a great show, LFG.
LFG is great.
Let's fucking go.
It's great.
Stokely says,
such a douchey boss thing to do.
Stokely goes, aside from my own actions, what did I do to deserve this?
He's the best, man. He's the funniest person in wrestling.
He's funny.
I want to see Black Taurus bitch slap Matthew Jackson when he says LFG. Mm-hmm. Just come out of nowhere and do that bitch slap. Like,
it's funny.
It's great.
It's funny. This is all good. It's
a working.
It's all tracks.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted from the Young Bucks, to be difficult leaders. And granted, what you said last week.
They just had to get there.
Yeah, that's fine. Still would love a package explaining how the fuck they got there. And especially, like, if they're in charge now, make that package happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Or maybe they don't want people to realize what they did.
That too. Yeah, as I was saying that, I'm like, maybe they don't want to show their cards. They do a pre-tape promo hyping Claudio, because up next is Claudio versus Brian Cage.
Kind of a rando match.
Are they repackaging Claudio?
He's like a Terminator kind of dude.
Yeah.
Definitely in the last two shows.
Because they're giving him some good shit.
I think it's a good call. I think it's a repackage.
Yeah.
They're making him like Terminator, basically. Yeah. Like, I mean, it fits because he's the strongest guy I've ever seen in my life.
Mox is in New Japan. Danielson just voluntarily said he's not going to be regular.
Hey, I said break up the beast. Already, I'm more interested in Claudio than I have been in a year.
And you don't have to, like, formally break them up, but, like, they just all go their separate ways.
And maybe, like, go through some personality changes like Claudio is doing now.
And then
like
when they're together, you're
his
like,
swing against Swerve was not like his usual fun swing. It was like, I'm trying to make you pass out, motherfucker, kind of swing. Yeah. So, he's like, I think you're right. I think it's so a little subtle repackaging.
And speaking of the swing, I just wrote swing led to a sharpshooter, which led to a tap out for the W. Which
I will say, because you said only one or two guys ever, Claudio's sharpshooter's pretty good.
Of course
it's
is.
in there like real tight.
This one looked exceptional.
Yeah.
Some guy, they just don't.
Most sharpshooters suck ass.
Yeah.
But his is one of the few that is very solid.
I'm noticing I like Claudio significantly more when he's bad guy Claudio.
And like a real bad guy.
Yeah.
Not like we're bullies, but like I'm trying to kill you bad guy.
Because he works way stiffer.
He's intimidating as fuck.
Yeah.
He's like chiseled from stone. He can like lift 400-pound men over his head.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just killer.
It is concerning how easily I am swayed. Like, I was shit-talking Claudio forever. I was shit-talking Jericho forever.
Yeah, no.
And now they're like becoming my two favorite things on television.
You were shit-talking them for what they were doing at the time, which was garbage.
Yeah.
Now they're not doing garbage.
Right.
Like, they're pivoting Claudio to, like we just said,
right,
a gimmick that makes him way more interesting.
Yeah.
And makes him not have to talk too, which is a good thing. And then Jericho, everybody was like tired of his ass. But he's done good work recently, and now this stuff is good.
I don't even know if this is purposeful, but like, and I hate to say it, but like, Jericho's body in those little tights, it just looks so. It was uncomfortable
He's like
to look
60,
at.
like, of course.
But he looked like, yeah, but like, shouldn't he be in better shape? You know what I mean?
Like he's got that chest thing that
I
always
don't mind
makes him
that,
look
but
funny.
like his legs and his like
he's
body.
old as fuck, dude. It's hard to like when you see like the old people running marathons or pulling buses or whatever. You still got like wrinkly old skinny asses and stuff. Like you just.
But like
it's impressive that he still could do it, but
I think
I would have gone with like a thicker pant. I think
maybe that's part of it. Like he's putting less clothes on to be more like
irritating. Yeah.
Can you imagine the self-awareness? He's like, hey. My body's awful. Let's show this off more.
Dude, I am so shocked with how much self-awareness he's shown just in the last like 4 weeks.
Yeah, it might be.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, oh, you know what really pissed him off?
Having a look at me.
Little trunks.
Backstage, Renee was with Rocky Romero.
But I have a question about this.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, now I'm going to focus on individual stuff and go for titles. I'm like, titles? Are you in AEW? Like, I never saw Rocky Romero as All Elite. He was always like the guy who came over to help the best friends and like help them when they were trying to do stuff with NJPW because he like worked primarily there. Yeah. But now he's like, going for titles. I'm like, did you sign or something? That's like, you need to mention that first, I think.
Well, he didn't even like. So yeah, like you said, he said he's going for a bunch of titles, and then the first person he challenges is Kyle O'Reilly, who doesn't have a title.
Well, you got to move up the rankings.
But yeah, I guess. Oh, by the way,
I like Kyle O'Reilly and Rocky Romero as a match.
Fine, yeah.
But yeah, this is random.
There are no more rankings on their website.
They take them down and put it back up.
The last time it was up was April 6th.
Yeah, and before that they were down for like 3 weeks, and then put back up April 6th. Yeah, they don't keep them rolling.
They gotta stop.
Do something.
They gotta stop.
Like something other than take them down for a month and up for a month and down for a month and up.
But like
they put them back up when they know that they can show that it's going to fit their stories.
But then like we notice it's not up. Like because I check like, hey, what are the rankings right now? Because
it's not hard to fudge it some. Like leave it up all the time and you just say it's a strength of schedule thing. Like that guy's 14-1 and this one's 11-2, but he had but harder matches, so he's ahead. I don't put them anywhere. I don't care. Just don't do something ridiculous. Don't give me Kyle Fletcher in the top 5 when he's 0-7 in 2024. But like I like having them there. Yeah. But they need to stay there consistently. You can't just up and down and
that's
shit.
Why I don't like having.
I don't like what they're doing with them now. They're useless. But like, bad. I want them, and I want them to be.
If it was consistent,
there still.
Yeah. especially now, you have 3 shows.
Yeah, and you have like a bunch of incredible athletic, like similar levels of talent kinds of guys. Yeah. So it would be cool to watch them battling it out in like an NCAA style ranking kind of thing. But just make a little bit of effort and keep it up.
But also,
you can hire one fucking nerd to do it, and I'll do it for him.
I mean, you can +1, -1 is not fucking hard to do.
Yeah.
But to your point, they could fudge him, but they could also look at him and go, okay, we're trying to get this guy over. And then like how they did with Claudio the last 2 shows, okay, we're trying to get Brody King over more. Oh, we're going to give him 3 consecutive wins and then bump him up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And then you're simultaneously...
It doesn't have to be perfect, but
you're
stuff like that,
simultaneously showcasing him. And
Yeah.
then when it's time for a title match, we're used to seeing this guy win.
Yeah.
And this fucking writes itself.
That's why I like the rankings. You just got to do them.
Just gotta do
You
'em.
can't like fucking be lazy about it.
It was concerning to me that they pushed... Like,
It's
they
been
made
concerning to me for 2 months because they keep putting them up and down. And I'm like, why are you taking these off ever?
Also, too, like, there's
as
only...
soon as there's a title change, there should be a new top 5. Like,
and once, like, let's say... Brody King again. Like, I can count how many times he's wrestled in the last times rankings have been up there.
Yeah.
I can manually do this fucking at home. Why can't you do it on your
That's
website?
what I said. I'll do the job for them if they want. I can go on Cage Match. For Christ's sake, and like do it. Like it's not that hard.
You think it's an opportunity on their website for employment to be?
No, I think Tony Khan probably wants to do it himself, like he does all other shit, and he can't.
Yeah. But what he can do lately is strengthen up his goddamn women's division because Mariah May versus Serena Deeb.
Match of the night, man.
Holy shit.
What match of the week, maybe? Like, incredible match. Like,
I already knew I was going to like it because
Bret Hart
Deeb.
against, like, who would be the best, like, slugger, like, laying it in kind of slugger from that era. But that's what it was. It was like
Mariah May is so good. And
yeah,
so like she's not even under the radar good anymore, but like she just quietly became like one of my favorite people on this whole
100%. Yeah.
You know?
I get excited for her matches.
Yeah.
And I knew this one was going to be great because Deeb doesn't have bad matches. And when Mariah May's got a good partner, dance partner, like it's a banger every time.
Yeah.
Like,
I loved it. One thing was kind of silly. They're trying to get Serena Deeb over as like a professor of like what's it called, submissions and ring psychology, and she put Mariah May into something called the Paradise Lock, which is just like she tangles up her own limbs and she puts her on, and then like you visibly saw Mariah May like having to. It's like you didn't have to.
She made up for it by doing one of my favorite moves. It's half crab. I love me a half crab. It looks so much more painful than a Boston crab.
And she sank
it way the fuck in.
Holy
I'm like,
shit.
you're going to tear her thighs.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
it looked like she was tearing this muscle.
She did she did a dope. She being Serena Deeb did a awesome transition into a seated surfboard.
Yeah,
which looked amazing. And then Mariah May with a V-trigger, shotgun drop kicks, hip attacks, missile drop kicks, handstand
all of them
moonsaults.
Like as hard as you can hit somebody.
She's so fucking good. She's so good.
Yeah, she is.
She also went for the Trish Stratus handstand moonsault, where Serena Deeb's sitting on the rope and she moonsaults her off. She did it once successfully. She goes for it twice, and that's when she gets caught in the single crab.
Yeah,
and she didn't tap. Toni Storm threw the towel.
Yeah, it's a couple of towel throw like stories that we've seen in 2 different shows, like different companies. But that's interesting that we're seeing towel throws.
Yeah,
I like that subtle. Toni Storm's been turning babyface. When she came out to save her last week, there was no heel. There was not ego. She was doing it like, you're my friend.
Right.
So it's going to hurt. We like now this Toni Storm, and it's going to hurt when Mariah May fucking fucks her over.
Yeah.
It's great.
Nothing but good things to say. Like that one, go back and watch that one.
They've fixed their women's division. They still got other problems. That's something they have just fixed. Yeah. It's just
even
good
the Thunder
now.
Rosa Deanna thing. Like it's compartmentalized and like it's doing what they're both brutal strikers that are.
And not in a title match.
Yeah, and they should be working with each other. Like,
yeah.
Mini feuds. Women's divisions don't usually have mini feuds. I think that's what is
that's
standing
like
out.
I've been begging for forever. Like every match doesn't have to be for a title or for a number one contender.
No.
There can be blood feuds on the women's division too. Like,
right.
But like they got a lot of great ass lady wrestlers in this company.
Yep, absolutely. Backstage we have Renee and Adam Copeland. Renee's acknowledging that Adam Copeland seems a little out of sorts. He says, "I'm okay." Kyle O'Reilly walks in and he just kind of strokes Edge a little bit. He says he's stoked to be sharing a locker room with him. He doesn't dig what's happening with the House of Black, but he's offering to have his back.
So like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Like, are they teaming up? Then is Edge not going to do the House of Black thing?
Kyle O'Reilly's the sacrificial lamb.
He was staring at the title.
Yeah,
and I like that. Edge was like, "Hey, eyes up here." Yeah. I get it, but eyes up here.
He says Edge says Kyle O'Reilly can have his back next week when he has to face Brody King. So he already knows.
I would want somebody having my back if I had to face Brody King.
So like they didn't tell him who he was wrestling this week, but he somehow knows who he's wrestling next week.
Well, he might just be like inferring. He's like, Malachi's not going to fucking face me second.
Sure.
He's going to send his other guy.
Yeah, but it was a multi-show. Who's it going to be? Which one of us is it going to be?
Yeah.
You know, like, we all know.
But really, even him in character was probably thinking, is it going to be Buddy or Brody? Because it ain't going to be Malachi.
You're
not
right.
till the end.
Next we had. You got it?
It's the Kenny, right?
Yeah.
So this is the main event of the evening.
He is a former AEW World Champion. Mm-hmm. He's the only wrestler to hold the AEW World title, Tag Team title, and Trios title. While most dream of reaching it, he actually achieved the illustrious 7-star rating. He is the pride and joy of North Carolina.
I don't know if you're asking for me. You're doing the whole thing.
Okay. However, he is the golden boy of Winnipeg, Manitoba. Tonight, he returns to AEW. Tonight, he returns home. He is the cleaner. He is the best bout machine. He's a founding father of AEW. He is Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega fucking rules.
He looked so healthy.
Yeah, he did. That's my first note. Was your face?
He looked amazing.
Color. His eyes look sparkly.
Remember when he came back and he for the trio shit and he was wearing like black sweatshirts and he looked like death warmed over.
He had like all the what do you call it? Kinesio tape all over him.
He looked bad. Like
he looked like he's been on vacation or something. He looked great.
It was really. Like, I had to be like, all right, focus. He's hurt. Because he looked super good.
But evidently not as hurt as we all thought.
No. A few months back, I was diagnosed with diverticulitis after spending 10 days in the hospital. I said, Kenny, you're one of the lucky ones. You were 24 hours away from dying. So to that, I said, cool story, Doc. Can you patch me up and send me back to Dynamite? He said, Kenny, it's not that simple. We need to get what's in you out of you. And if we cut you open now, we're going to have to fillet you open. And you're going to have a colostomy bag for 6, 12 months, possibly the rest of your life. So I said to the doctor, and if I don't, I said, that's fine, but for the rest of your life, you're going to have a ticking time bomb right here. He points to his solar plexus. Where you might not know where, when, or why, but you might just wake up one day in the hospital having surgery done to you anyway. Any sort of blunt force trauma to the stomach could kill you. Since that day, I can't lie. I had to stop watching wrestling because my hands would shake. I was scared for the first time in my career, and I felt pathetic, like a coward. And maybe the point today, this whole thing was to come out and explain that I had to retire. The crowd did not care for that.
I did not care for that.
No, but you knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I did something. And then I did... Inflection's important. And then I did something.
Later on.
Yeah. I turned on AEW for the first time the other day. I saw Swerve make history. I saw Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson put on one of the greatest matches I'd ever seen in my life. And I wish I could say I was happy, but when I look back down, my hands were shaking again. And the tremors got worse, and I thought, am I really scared of being a wrestler? And that's not what it was.
So great.
When I came out here and I heard the call from Justin Roberts and I heard each and every one of you chanting my name just now, it made me realize something very important. Yes, I was scared. That's life. We're all scared of something. The reason why I was shaking is because I was going through withdrawal. I needed to be back in this ring more than I wanted to breathe. I need to be back in this ring more than I wanted to breathe. The living is being in this ring. Being called the best is what fueled me, and it hurt me, and I hated that all the best shows, pay-per-views, wrestlers, and are in the conversation for being the best, and I've already been forgotten. Felt for him there. And he's right. He's 100% right. People kind of skate
Will
over.
Ospreay blowing up the world.
Kenny Omega's getting skated over. So I made a promise to myself, and I'm making a promise to each of you. This isn't over until I exhaust every option. If there's 10%, 5%, a 1% chance, bag or not, you guys aren't done with Kenny Omega yet. I made a mission statement to change the world. Wink, wink. And that brings me on to the second piece of business. So this, as I was talking about how Swerve had like a multifaceted, two-tiered agenda promo, this is how you fucking do it.
I've never seen Kenny do this long a monologue promo. He hit on all cylinders, and it was super long.
And he's only halfway fucking done.
Yeah.
He said, when we were talking about the colostomy bags, why not talk about the two shitheads while we're at it? I think he said shitheads.
Yeah,
they bleeped him out. Matthew and Nicholas, you've been running roughshod over this company and embarrassing yourselves more than you've ever embarrassed yourselves before in the past. And you can do that. You're free to do that as EVPs. But what you forget is that there's also one other EVP. I may be fired from the elite, but you can't fire me as an EVP. So as far as I'm concerned, until someone says otherwise, a part of the power in this company belongs to the best bout machine.
Fuck yeah, it does. Kenny, I love you.
As if this could not get better, we hear a coin drop, and out comes Okada.
The whole crowd shits their pants simultaneously.
We get a big holy shit. Okada goes face to face with Kenny Omega. Big ass
for the
holy
first
shit.
time since 2017, 18.
And
probably.
This felt bigger too. And I've never seen one of their matches, but just based on folklore, this felt bigger to me than Cody Roman.
Yeah, it's like
That might be hyperbolic to some people, but
I mean, not really, because it goes so much longer, so storied. Those matches are like so revered, and they haven't seen each other in a long time. Like, it felt like two mythic characters or something. Like, finally, like Neo and Smith or something. Yeah. Like, holy shit!
It was cool. It felt enormous.
Yeah,
and just based on the steam the Bucks have been getting all show, they have such good they have such a good ability to teeter-totter like the how strong a character is so abruptly.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah,
they're doing it with so many people on the show.
Until it's time to go, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, I didn't realize.
There's like 5 or 6 examples of it on the show, like that are not in this program right now. That I just literally was just talking about how I love Claudio now.
Yeah.
Like,
within after 2 matches. Because he changes a little bit.
Because he put a suit on and walked slow and said less. Like,
and started hitting a little harder.
Yeah. And my big complaint about him was, like, don't cut promos or do take 2 or don't be, as you had mentioned,
no more promos.
Don't be silly and just fucking make him the Terminator. God damn it. So Kevin, KO.
KO showed up. Oh my God. I would have died of a heart attack. He rejoins the Elite from like you did in 2006 or whatever it was.
Kenny Omega, not Kevin Owens. So first he says something in Japanese, and I tried to I'm like, fuck that.
Oh, this is where I said I would interject my favorite Kenny Omega tidbit from the past. Because Kenny Omega spent so much time in New Japan, he was like the Gaijin ace there, the most popular, non-Japanese wrestler for many years over there. And he loved his time there. So he learned and began to speak Japanese fluently, like unaccented for as far as like a Tokyo accent from what I've heard. But it was like, he was a babyface at that time and he would always cut his promos in Japanese. As soon as he turned heel, he refused to ever speak Japanese again, which is one of my favorite heel things I've ever heard anyone do.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, he said a couple of lines in Japanese too.
Then he
says, Rainmaker.
Yeah, then he says it in English. The Rainmaker, the best bout machine. Oh, wait. Okada says this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Okada says the Rainmaker. Wait.
I think it's back
no. It's sorry. I have him marked as KO and OK.
Yeah.
So Kenny Omega says, the Rainmaker, the best bout machine. It's funny, huh? We had a bit of a rivalry over in New Japan. Give me a couple months. We'll set it right here in an AEW ring. How does that grab you?
A couple of months, I was like, oh.
Yeah. Okada says, I'm sorry, Kenny. I am the best bout machine now. And then Jack Perry appears out of nowhere. He attacks Kenny Omega from behind. He gets a chair, and he goes after Kenny Omega. But Kenny Omega ducks, and he beats the shit out of Jack Perry.
It's a fucking Snapdragon.
Snapdragon suplex, and then he kind of grabs his stomach, and then Okada distracts Omega. And
also, when he ripped his shirt open, he had like a 12-pack.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're not that hurts. No. We're not that drunk.
Jack Perry shoves a chair right in Kenny Owens. I got to start naming these guys.
I mean, I really wished he was there too. But
Jack Perry.
He's buddies with those guys.
Hits a chair or hits Kenny Omega in the stomach with a chair. Then the Young Bucks come out and they try to play coy.
Yeah, they're doing the bullshit like, oh, guys, slowly. Come on. We don't need to do this.
Started doing to Tony Khan last week. They followed through with on Kenny Omega this week, the EVP trigger on Kenny Omega. And then FTR comes out way too late.
Like, thanks, guys. My diverticulitis has exploded.
Their music hits and just run out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Thanks.
And that's how the show ended.
It did. I will mention. Yeah, we didn't really watch the full, but because this was another because of the NBA playoffs, they did a Dynamite right into Rampage, like a 3-hour show. I only watched, and then I showed Dave when he arrived here. They like the run over from like Dynamite went like 5 minutes or whatever over into what would have been the Rampage time, and then they continued it a little bit longer. They beat the shit out of Kenny. Like they had him in a gurney going to the ambulance, and Matthew and Nicholas Jackson like grabbed him right in his face, like we're gonna change the world though, Kenny. Don't you understand? Like evil fucking cocksuckers. And then he dumped him off of this high ass like gurney, hits the like concrete like a ton of bricks. Yeah. Brutal. Kenny Omega accomplished so much better, like what Tony Khan was trying to get us to feel, because like the Tony Khan one, I was just giggling and stuff. It was I like the story, but it's kind of funny because Tony Khan is not believable in any of that stuff.
No,
I was like, I totally worked and completely pissed off, and I want Kenny Omega to destroy the New Elite. Yeah. Like in my heart, I want to see that happen so bad now.
Absolutely,
and it's going to be amazing when it does.
So they're breadcrumbing everywhere now. So Kenny Omega's looking at the Elite, Swerve's looking at the Elite, FTR's looking at the Elite.
Does he get Hangman with him too?
I think maybe
because he's a different kind of heel than the Elite guys are. He's like a.
Or at least I hope Hangman comes back and he's just a thorn in the side of Hangman, separate from the Elite. Yeah. Which is going to be hard to do since they're so like intrinsically tied together. Yeah. But like if you just have him as a foil, that'd be great.
Yeah, like I would like that too.
Like when
I honestly I do like the idea of Lone Wolf Kenny Omega taking down these motherfuckers that look like absolutely unbeatable at this point. Right.
Like so I mean we'll see. So Kenny Omega is seemingly on the mend and on the way back. We still have Hangman. We still have technically Adam Cole. We still
who's up and walking around MJF. Now. MJF's got to come back.
Dude, they are backload. They're with the men and the women. They're backloading their fucking big guns.
They just put on an A+ show without Will Ospreay there.
Yeah, you wouldn't even mention him. The show. No.
I like going into the show on paper. I was like, that looks like an all right one. And I was like, oh, this is the best one you've done in like 2 months.
I'm now equally excited to hear why Eric Bischoff hated this show.
Yeah. What bullshit, like he did gaslighting nonsense he comes up with.
North of an hour rants about why last week's Dynamite was one of the worst things he's ever seen. Yeah. I'm like, what are you doing?
One, he didn't watch it. He like read recaps and maybe watched the clip.
Yeah. Well, you know why though? Because people are doing all these NWO comparisons, and anytime you touch the creation of one of these older guys, they get really.
This doesn't feel anything like NWO at this point.
It's not.
It's a completely different thing. Oh my God,
it's not NWO.
Yeah, no.
It's,
but you know what? Bischoff is a fucking fraud who nobody should watch anything he does. I do like you do. Like, I want to hear what can you fucking say about this?
That's entertaining. That's like that's the tabloid.
I just get irritated stuff. when then the sycophants that like love him or Cornette, they believe everything Cornette is saying, even though Cornette is doing.
I tell you what, like Cornette, I've been listening to him once or twice. I'm like, this makes perfect fucking sense.
Oh, like the story stuff he talks about.
But you like
brilliance.
It's when people don't have the ability to listen to something critically and go, I don't agree with 90% of what you said. There's a nugget of truth in there, or inversely, like, you know what? I thought I was right here.
Yeah.
You've completely fucking proved me wrong.
You never learn if you don't keep an open mind.
Right.
And Cornette got stuck in, like, wrestling needed to stop evolving in, like, 1991.
Yeah.
And then anything that has been an evolution of the business, he thinks it's, like, clownish and stupid. He still thinks
the Rock and Roll Express is the best tag team of all time.
I don't think he really thinks all that stuff either. I think he does, but not to the degree that he portrays on his show. Yeah. He even does like funny cartoony pictures on his YouTube, which is kind of amusing sometimes. Yeah. I get pissed off at like the people that like defend everything he says like it's gospel, when it's just he's like a grumpy dude doing a character. He's pretty funny actually. Yeah. And he's also giving you like his opinions, just turn up to 11 as they say.
Right.
Bischoff is just a goddamn fraud. He is a bad person who ruined a giant company and lost a ton of people their jobs. Yeah. He's worthless. Yeah. Cornette, has done a lot of good stuff. Yeah. And again, I think he's working a lot of the time.
So I mean, further down the list, Disco and Conan. Like I said, I like Conan.
Yeah.
Because he runs a company, so like he's got some.
And I think that he probably brought Disco in because he knew, this fucking prick is probably going to get people to, hey, listen, because Conan's smart.
Disco just talks so like I don't know, like I don't.
He's always laying there, like a slug.
Buy a microphone, dude.
He's the worst. He was a dog shit wrestler too.
And like sometimes I'll see the Bubba Ray comments. I'll see the Mark Henry like what did Mark Henry do?
Bubba
Mark
Ray
Henry
just thinks he's way smarter than he actually is.
They all do though.
He always slows it down like it's the intelligent way to talk.
Yeah.
But then he never changes his like actual vocabulary at all.
But that's the whole like argument from authority where like, because I did this, I know better than you. It's
exactly.
Like you did like. I never played Major League Baseball. I can judge if you miff a double play.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Like,
yeah. I can see if you're like a pitcher and you're kicking your leg like Phil and Cease used to over too far. Like I know we're not supposed to. No. I can't throw 100, but I can watch you and see that you're doing the wrong thing.
Also, too, like I'm a musician. Someone in the crowd who has never picked up an instrument in their life can notice when I miff a note.
If you miss it or sing out of key
but I'm
or
never
something.
Gonna be like, no, I've been playing for 25 years. I know better than
anybody who does that. If you ever played the game have you ever wrestled a match,
real cheap,
terrible,
real fight. You never. Kevin Nash always throws that on people's like, well, did Dave Meltzer ever book a territory? It's like, dude, you don't have. You can play Dungeons and Dragons and learn how to write stories.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean? Like, I can't fucking wait to see why this was a bad episode of Dynamite, because this was a damn near
everything on it except for that one tiny thing, and it was only because like I think it's dumb to use Samoa Joe.
Yes,
still
that's it.
But that wasn't even that bad. It was like still a decent match.
The downside of your show is a Samoa Joe squash match. You know what I mean?
It's a good show. Yeah,
like this was infinitely better than what the other company had to put on.
Yeah, and they were just a victim of their stupid draft thing. That just ruined everything.
They booked way too much. They booked 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag.
Yeah,
they got a pay-per-view coming up. They're switching the rosters up.
Really could have used a little build because I'm going to watch that show.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit about anything that's going to happen there. Like,
if you haven't listened yet, our WWE
go check out the WWE
episode drops at the same time as this one. But yeah, I mean, I love this.
Yeah, this is really good. Really good.
It's really
now, don't do anything stupid next week. Thanks for joining us, guys. I think we're going to have a turnbuckle time machine now coming up because we got the Backlash pay-per-view, though. Is that this week?
We're not going to review the pay-per-view, are we? We can do
that.
No,
we're not. We'll do Turnbuckle Time Machine.
Yeah, I'd rather do a Turnbuckle Time Machine.
I mean, like the gimmick is that we watch bad pay-per-views, and it's definitely going to be a bad pay-per-view, but I'd rather watch a funny one.
We'll shove it in the WWE episode next week. It shouldn't take too long.
It's going to sound exactly like our preview. Because
we called the preview was like 30 seconds long. I think that's being generous, too.
Thanks for joining us, as always, guys. And hopefully you'll be back again with us next week. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut off your gimmick there, Dave, but also for Turnbuckle Time Machine, which should be coming up at some point during this week. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Light the fuse. Bring the boom. Goodbye.